It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Jeff's here, Stacy's here, Ant's here. We're going to try our best to explain why GameStop's stock is through the roof. It's actually a pretty wild story. We'll talk, as always, about Google's changelog, new things, and things going away from Google, and a new $60 doorbell from Ring. It's all coming up next on Twig. It's time once again for our annual survey here at Twit. We don't want to miss your feedback. Go to twit.tv/survey21 to take it now. It's going to close in a couple of weeks. The survey helps us understand you so we can make, or at least get to know you. I don't know if we'll ever understand you, but if we can get to know you so we can make your listening experience even better. It also helps us with advertising. It only takes a few minutes. Just go to twit.tv/survey21, and thanks in advance.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 596, recorded Wednesday, January 27th, 2021. Squeezing the shorts. This Week in Google is brought to you by Privacy.com. Privacy lets you buy things online using virtual cards instead of having to use your real ones, protecting your identity and the bank information on the internet. Right now, new customers automatically get $5 to spend on their first purchase. Go to privacy.com/twig to sign up now. And by IT Pro TV. Now you can look forward to a successful new year where you can get a new career in IT with the best IT education around. Visit itpro.tv/twit for an additional 30% off all consumer subscriptions for the lifetime of your active subscription. Use the code TWIT30 at checkout. It's time for Twig, This Week in Google, which has nothing to do with Google, unless we feel like it. It's really about this ineffable thing we call, what do we call it? The world. Life. Don't talk to me of life. Stacy Higginbotham is here. She's the IoT and microprocessor guru on the show. The nerdy one at stacyoniot.com. Hi, Stace.
Hello, y'all.
Hello. I was just reading, I don't know how you would feel about this. I was reading a blog post by a guy who left Silicon Valley to move to Austin about how awful Austin
is this the one on Insider?
Or Business
Was his name
Yeah.
Elon?
Yeah, no.
I tried to read it, but I don't have a subscription. And you know what? I get it. Austin is not for everyone.
He said it was really hot.
It is hot.
And
so hot.
Yeah, and the water was expensive. He says, yeah, there's no state income tax, but the property taxes and the water and the power are really expensive.
Water, power. Well, we have a city-owned utility. Although, I will say my city-owned utility charged me more per kilowatt hour, but it stayed up more often because there were tree line, or the city was in charge of trimming the trees, whereas up here, no one's in charge, and it's just
that's why you had no power
and more
2
trees
weeks ago.
too.
Yeah. Now we have that problem here, which is a PG&E, which is a for-profit utility, has decided when the state gave them money to trim the trees to give it to their executives instead. And so the power lines run through tinder dry brush and trees. And so that's why they turn the power off when there's windstorm or dry conditions. They figure that's better to do than burn the state to the ground. So there you go. There you have it. I read it. It sounded kind of like a whiny blog post about Austin. I didn't judge Austin. And then I read the comments on the Hacker News about it, and everybody was mad at the guy. So I just thought it was funny. I thought I'd bring it up. Hi, Stacy. Good to have you.
I mean, I left Austin, so mostly because it was hot.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. She moved to the Pacific Northwest. So,
Is that a raccoon on your shawl that you took before you left there? What is that?
I think.
Yeah, that's Daniel Boone's hat tail.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
This is my mouse.
Oh, that's cute. It's really, that looks so cozy. She's wearing a beautiful gray shawl.
Is that a pashmina?
It looks like a pashmina.
Is that a shawl?
It's a wool wrap.
A wool wrap.
A wool
because
wrap.
Pashmina wasn't enough. And it's actually brown, but yeah.
It's brown.
I'm cold.
Yeah, you look like a hobbit. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Also with us, Mr. Jeff Jarvis, the Leonard Tao professor.
Critic, former employee of Condé Nast. That's why I note the raccoon on her outfit. You see, that's the way I think. That's the way I go.
Leonard Tao, Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Hello, Jeff.
Hello.
And from Hands-On Photography, Mr. Ant Pruitt, Man About Town Ant. Hello, Ant.
I'm laughing so hard because I'm just waiting on Miss Stacy to reach through that camera.
Unfortunately, I know it won't work, but Ant, I am with you. If I could just text you, if y'all were in the studio,
you guys behave, or we're going to play Nickelback.
We're
playing the Nickelback shanty song, unless you're nice to us.
We were torturing Stacy with shanty songs, but Stacy, we can also torture Jeff Jarvis because we can go ahead show Jeff's room. We can add a little little interloper just into Jeff's room.
You see it there?
Can you have to go full screen on Jeff? Can you do that? He can't. Apparently we.
Oh no!
He disappeared.
Oh, there he is.
He's teleporting in.
Yay.
He's teleporting in.
Hi, Bernie.
We set up a little folding chair for Bernie. Is it my imagination, or did these memes burn out faster than usual? The shanties and the Bernies.
No,
I think that's
we're still talking about them.
We're still talking about the dadgum shanty stuff.
Yeah, but only because we're so not with it. Yeah, I think everybody's sick of it.
Ant and I are trying to move you on, but you're just sticking.
Well, the Bernie one, you have it in the rundown, but there was an update. If you go to the page where you can make your own Bernie meme, turns out he ran through his API time like crazy. 9.8 million Bernie memes made.
Wow.
Yeah, I bookmarked this when I could still use it. He was merging the picture of Bernie at the inauguration with Google Maps Street View of whatever address you put in. And so you could put Bernie anywhere. And as you say, Jeff, 9.8 million memes were created, but it was so expensive he had to shut the thing down.
At the bottom, he says, if you'd like what I do, can you buy me a cup of coffee, please?
Nick Sani.
Want to give his name?
Nick Sani. Well done, Nick. Very good.
Outstanding.
But again, the meme has run its course. So what is that, Stacey? You think a week is a normal 5 days? When is a meme done?
Oh, I am not Taylor Lorenz. I don't know. I'm old.
There are, for instance, the meme of the guy with his girlfriend looking over his shoulder at another woman.
Oh, that's still going on.
That's been going for years. So
that's a half-life. It's like nuclear waste.
And you could always, if for a well-done meme, you can always bring it back from the dead and pull it into timeliness.
Then it's nostalgia.
Right.
I think
the crying
we've just
Michael
been
Jordan
so bombarded by it.
Yeah.
It's like the equivalent of like when hot songs, like the top 10 radio songs of the summer, when you had to listen to the radio.
Right.
It was always playing.
Always playing.
Yeah.
Night Ranger,
you have a
Sister Christian
imitation?
And now,
Leo?
my request from Bedminster, New Jersey. we bring you Gloria by Laura Branigan. Okay, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. Let's explain. Stacey, you used to be a financial reporter. Let's explain what the hell's going on with Reddit, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and GameStop. By the way, not just GameStop. Now Reddit's GameStop traders are turning their attentions to AMC stock.
Well, there's two AMCs, and they're getting confused between the two of them.
Oh, that's
great. Oh, this is like my mom. She gets confused between Best Buy and Bed Bath & Beyond because their stock tickers are so similar. So she'll be like, can you get me some sheets from Best Buy? And I'm like, no.
So
no, not Best Buy.
This also is happening because of platforms like Robinhood, which encourage, because it's free, commission-free trading. Yeah, but really they're making the money on the spread, and people aren't sophisticated enough to know that you're getting a bad buy price because they're making money on the spread. But anyway, it's complicated. But because that app is so popular with young people, you've got a whole generation, people like my son, who think it's possible to make a quick killing and are tempted to. And actually, some people did make a quick killing. So we got to explain this, starting with, in order to understand this, you have to understand what shorting a stock is. Stacey?
Yes. Okay. So when you short a stock, you're making a bet that it is going to go down in price. So what you do is you usually borrow money, you buy the stock at the higher price, and then sorry. already screwed this up.
We said it was confusing.
I hate it.
You're borrowing the stock, aren't you?
You're borrowing the stock. I'm sorry. Yes. So the bet is it goes down in price. So you borrow against the stock at the high price. And then when it goes down,
you pay it back at the low price, and your profit is the spread. Yeah. Okay.
Spread, right.
Yeah.
But if you make that bet and the stock price goes up, you have to, they do a margin call and you have to pay to stay in your short. And that's real money you're paying out. And that's what happened with the hedge funds. And that's how they're being bankrupt, because instead of the stock for GameStop falling, it's going up. And the hedge funds, they're being called on their margins, so they have to pay out.
This is called a squeeze. So when you squeeze the shorts, I just love.
Say what?
I love the terminology. When you squeeze the shorts, you force them to sell. But when, of course, that props up the stock. The stock price goes up because the squeeze, as the squeeze go on, they go, oh no, quick, get out of the stock, and it goes up. So, and this has been called the squeeze of a lifetime. The Reddit folks, and this is a Reddit subreddit called Wall Street Bets, /r/Wall Street, spell out street bets. And what the Reddit, it was kind of a conspiracy to squeeze the shorts. They said, what we could do is it's essentially it's a meme with real money behind it. So these guys basically squeezed the shorts, forced the price up. Some people probably made a lot of money, right? If you weren't shorting it, if you were going long, in other words, what most investors do, buying the stock expecting it to go up, you would have made some money. The SEC, which is basically at this point going, what happened?
Reddit? How do you spell that?
What the hell's going on?
Steve Reddit, the guy who works for Obama, who's on Morning Joe, is that who it is? Steve Reddit, is he doing this?
Yeah.
So I want to get, you know who I want on the show or somewhere to talk about this? I want Patrick Byrne, who is kind of legit gone crazy, but he is the former CEO at Overstock. And remember how the hedgies came after him?
Yes.
And he was squeezed by the short sellers. He would be an excellent person to be talking about this.
Short sellers, I would be willing, I'm going to say, and you're right, this is what hedge funds use to hedge. But in general, I think short sellers don't do anybody any favors. Remember, for a long time, people were shorting Tesla. And in order to kind of preserve their position, they would publish terrible stories. They would downplay it. They'd go into forums and, oh, this Tesla's terrible. Because they really wanted that stock to go down. In fact, Tesla's stock ended up doing very, very well. And I'm sure they got squeezed mightily. But for a long time, Elon Musk complained, look, we're doing fine. All of these bad stories you read are from short sellers.
Now, I will say there is an argument for short selling in that, like, if you know something is, if you really fundamentally believe like someone's making a stupid mistake and you can get that out there, then yes. And so the rationale for short selling is that, you know, you believe that something is overvalued and you think that someone else is going to see that too. Now, the lines get crossed when you start doing crazy stuff like calling your favorite friend at the Wall Street Journal and planting false rumors.
Right.
But I mean, there's some stocks that are trading too high.
It's legitimate. It also, I mean, it has a legitimate purpose in the ecosystem.
But people resent it. They think so. Somebody was saying today, Reddit's manipulating the market. And I said people think that
because they're pissed.
The short sellers are manipulating the market. They are.
Yeah.
So let me explain.
Let
me give you the chronology so that we can tell you what's going on. You might assume, if you're just an unsophisticated person, that a company that was made up of brick and mortar stores selling video games in malls might not have a glowing future, right?
Right.
They have 5,000 stores. People aren't going into stores anyway because of the pandemic. Many of them are in malls that are shutting down. And frankly, the video game industry is moving to downloadable content. There's really no reason to buy a physical copy of a video game anymore. So GameStop became popular with short sellers. A lot of people took a bet that GameStop was going to go down. So because a lot of hedge funds were in it, and a lot of these people on the Reddit Wall Street Bets don't like these guys.
Right.
Does.
Yeah. And because an analyst at Bloomberg said that maybe GameStop, which isn't expected to even turn a profit till 2023, might be a good buy. He made what they call a bull case for GameStop. And so for the last 2 years, I didn't realize it's been going on that long, this bullish case for GameStop been showing up on the subreddit and bubbling up. I'm reading from a Vox, by the way, really good Vox story. If you want to kind of understand how this happened, Emily Stewart did a good kind of explanation of all of this. So as Reddit and retail traders started to take notice of GameStop, they also noticed, and I guess you could figure this out, how heavily shorted the stock was. And they figured out, and this is where you get in trouble, if they all acted in concert, that's the key, right? And no individual buyer is going to have enough clout, unless you're Warren Buffett, to move the market. But if everybody on Reddit said, hey, guys, this is exactly what happened with storming the Capitol, except it's storming the stock market.
It's an orchestrated event.
Yeah. Hey, guys,
Occupy Wall Street.
If we could screw the shorts and make a profit, that might be a pretty good thing. So this started about 4 months ago. There was a post bankrupting institutional investors for dummies featuring GameStop. The GameStop stock price went from $20 to $148. That's more than 700% growth. Now, of course, there's a lot of zigs in that zag, and that's the Redditors who are buying it, selling it, buying it, selling it. Redditors are pissed off also because several times during this process, trading was halted, and it's their contention they halt trading to protect the hedge fund guys.
Right.
They don't care about individual investors. They don't care about us making money off of these guys' bad short bets, but they are going to protect the hedge fund guys.
So it made it even. You don't want to piss off a Redditor even worse.
Yeah, that's probably
that story.
That's probably the case.
It's like pissing off a bunch of crypto boys. Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, a short seller named Andrew Left, who works for Citron Research, announced on Twitter they'd be hosting a live stream laying out the case for shorting GameStop and saying anybody buying the stock at this point are suckers. They say it's going to go back to 20. Don't worry. Immediately, there were attempts to hack his Twitter account. And now he said, I'm not going to comment on GameStop because of the angry mob that has formed against me, complained that he'd, quote, never seen such an exchange of ideas of people so angry about someone joining the other side of the trade. So basically, because of places like Robinhood, where a large number of people at no cost in effect, at least no commission cost to them, can trade stocks, and because of sites like Reddit, where people were able to act in concert, they squeezed the hell out of the shorts. And in the process, some people probably made money. Now, some people probably also lost money. One of the things that's important to understand about the stock market, and I don't know if everybody gets this, it's a zero-sum game. For every dollar you make, somebody is losing a dollar. The only time that's not true is when there's a new issue. A company sells stock, they get a lot of money. You're giving them money.
That's not totally true, Leo.
Where is it not
the whole market
goes
goes up?
Yeah, I was like, if I sell my stock at 15, for example, I have made, okay.
It's a zero-sum game because somebody bought your stock at that price.
Right.
So
but
that dollar that you made
tends to go up.
Well, that's the one thing that probably just changed that a little bit.
Game.
It's not.
You're
right.
The total value goes up.
If I bought it at 5, it went up, and we're ignoring the time value of money because we're not doing those calculations. But I bought at 5, I sell at 15.
You made $10.
I've made $10.
Right.
Someone else buys it at 15. As long as that stock keeps going up, they're fine.
But But I hate to tell everybody because we've been in such a bull market for so long. What goes
Eventually
up
it stops going up.
Go
so
down.
This is why, here's Stacy's free investment advice. Always put a set of, find some money. Your money, allocate a certain percentage, even if it's like $50 a month, allocate that, buy mutual funds. Don't try to chase individual stocks. It's stupid. Right. And just let it go forever. for as long as you can, and you will have great months. You will have bad years, but eventually it should even out and go up.
Dollar cost averaging, they call it.
Exactly.
Dollar cost averaging.
But you can say that about some certain stocks too. I mean, they all have their moments of peaks and valleys. Just
but if
sit
you,
on
if
it. Leave
you
it be.
chase the peaks, you're gonna find the valleys too.
No, Ant saying something different, Stacey, which is invest in the stock and hold it for the long term, right, Ant?
Oh, no, don't do that. That's not a
shares
good
out
idea.
there of things that I just bought them a
Okay.
long time ago, but I didn't expect anything.
I don't
want
to get in the business of investment advice.
No.
I was like, no, Ant, don't do that.
No.
It's basically my philosophy that anybody who's giving me investment advice, if they're not already a billionaire, I'm not going to take it. Because if you're that smart, why the hell are you telling me?
Guess who's not a billionaire over here?
Wait, why such a high standard?
All right, 100 millionaire. In other words, if you're still working for a living, you haven't figured out the stock market.
Right.
Anyway,
So keep going with the tail.
The real point of this is the value of the GameStop stock, whether 20 or 142, had nothing to do with the inherent value of GameStop. Right. It was really all about this thing that was going on, and it was being propped up or went down, up and down. You probably could say that the long-term prospects for GameStop aren't that good. I don't know. I'm not an expert. That seems like a fair guess, but that has nothing to do with the 700% run up in the value.
But today it's now
because
it
of
closed
Reddit.
today.
What did it close at?
$348, up 135% from Tuesday's close. Market cap of 24 billion. The stock traded as high as 380 today. Now, let me explain something to me.
So it's not ended. That's the historical thing.
So let's say I have 1,000 shares on short. I can get out. So I'm going to pay money, but it's a question of when I choose to get out, right? Or am I squoze forever? I can just say, okay,
you get out, but you lock in a loss.
A share.
Yeah, you get out, but you lock in a loss.
At some point in time,
why does it keep going up then? If people are saying, okay, I see the game, screw it, I'm getting out.
Because not everybody gets
out.
Because not everybody gets out. So what also brings up the price is these short sellers, as it goes up and up and up, they go, oh crap. And they if they all got out at a price, then it'd be over. And then there's also momentum because people see the price going up, and now you get long buyers saying, oh, GameStop must be a great stock. And that's the warning I want to give people. Okay, it's not a perfect zero-sum game, but
don't be a chump.
Don't be a chump. And
not like
Leo,
insurance. This is just legalized gambling. That's all this is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let me ask one more dumb question. So now the stock is at 348.
Jeez.
Logic would say, and there's no logic in Reddit or the internet, logic would say now is the time to short the stock.
Yeah. Except that it will go up. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Your margin can get called. So when you go short, you can't just go short and sit. If you go
you have to put money down.
Yeah, at some point your margin gets called and you could lose a ton because not only is it short, it's generally leveraged, right, Stacey? So
that's why it's so scary. So your margin you have to put in more money, and once you've done that, you're basically losing more than you thought because you've also borrowed against it. So you got to pay that back and then pay the continuing spread.
So you can't just say I think it's really overvalued at $300. So I'm gonna go short and buy a ton of shares. At some point, it might continue to go up, and you'll have to pay the piper. You can't just sit on it. You'll have to pay.
I swear there was
America's
what was that called? That guy from Homeland was in it. Billions. No, Succession. No.
Yeah, Billions.
Succession.
Billions. There was a whole plot line around a short sale.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a margin call.
You can actually learn a lot about finance from watching Billions.
You can. So Bank of America just raised its price target to $10.
So
maybe they're doing that
because they
think
they have a good
clients.
plan.
So here's the thing. I think this is the thing that makes professionals cuckoo, is that you have all of these young people who don't really understand what's going on buying the stock. And that's why it's gotten really unpredictable because of platforms
I don't
like
know
Robinhood.
if it's they don't understand what's going on. I think they're just saying F you.
No, well,
I really do.
let me put it another way. When you play chess and you're a good player, and you're playing another good player, you have certain expectations. You kind of know how to play that person. It's actually sometimes hard for a very good player to play a terrible player because they do completely stupid things that you're not prepared for.
Same with poker.
Yeah, poker is poker's a better analogy. It's a lot easier to play poker against good poker players than it is against a fish who has, you don't know.
But Stacey's added in something else here, which is righteous anger.
Yes, but I'm saying that. In other words, all of these new people coming into the market are unpredictable because they're not acting in a way that a normal trader thinks is rational. And that includes revenge.
I think the difference here is normal traders never pay attention to retail investors because they don't have to.
Right.
And
that's right. Institutional traders, you mean.
You're right.
Right.
Well said.
And so what this is,
they
have created. Yeah. They don't exist. I mean, so what's happened here is they have given the power to, it's like mass media. They've given the power to the masses to actually, and the hedge funds have to pay attention. I'm so sorry, Jeff.
Well, it's where stock markets started was individual, in the Hudson's Bay Company.
Yeah.
An individual could buy shares.
Didn't take long before institutional.
By technology.
Yeah, it didn't take long before institutional traders in 1789 ruined the whole thing. So this is actually a really good point, but from this Vox article. The GameStop episode is a mix of factors both serious and silly. Part retail traders demonstrating actual power in the market, to your point, Stacey. Part accepting that some of this makes no sense, to my point. Whether GameStop took off because it's a meme stock, a stock in which interest is as much cultural or social as it is financial, or because it's possible there is something in the business case that's unclear. There is a business case. There is a cultural interest. The balance between the two and driving the price, it's unknown. It's indeterminate. Part of it might basically be a joke. What is clear is a lot of what's happening with the stock now is not because there's a potential turnaround. It's merely because the trade went viral.
What if, and here's a craziness, GameStop somehow got their hands on a container full of graphics cards. And they're going to put them on the market.
And you know what? If anybody would know that, it'd be Reddit, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
Ooh.
So then their valuation would be totally assured.
And that's the answer to your question, Jeff. How come this stock keeps going up?
Yeah.
It's you know what it is? In some ways, it's the financial market version of QAnon, of conspiracy theories.
Wow. Right.
And this kind of viral spread of information and misinformation. And the very difficult job of prying one from the other.
Actual information.
Well, we don't know. There might be. That's what Emily's saying.
Well, Bank of America actually raised the price because they said they actually have a good business plan.
Yeah, but $10 is not.
So
$10 is not.
Bank of America is doing this as a salve to some of its big investors. That's all it is. It's like, we still want to be parts of your deals. We still want your relationships. We're not crazy. We're not going to say 348, but if I can cut your losses a little and give you $10, I will. That is all that is. And call me cynical, but it's true.
Should also
but
point
if I
out
held this stock and sold it 2 weeks ago, I'm happy.
Well, that's the point. And as with any pyramid scheme,
yeah,
the earlier you get in, the more money you make. and
while I'm in school here,
in that respect, it is a zero-sum game. I mean, that's the problem. Go ahead.
While we're in dummy school here, I always get confused between call and put.
Financial reporter Stacey Higginbotham.
Oh, man, I got to look that up again.
See? Confuses everybody, right?
A call gives you the option to buy a stock, and a put gives you the option to sell a stock.
Right.
Don't ask me about collars, because I will come out there, Jeff, and yell at you.
Don't feel bad.
Honestly,
I struggle with bull and bear. I always get those mixed up.
If you don't know the difference between call and put, you should probably not be buying stock on Robinhood and Webull and all these others.
Oh, yeah.
Which, interestingly, now are way higher up in the rankings in the app stores. People are jumping on this.
So now explain Robinhood and why that fuels this. You started before, but finish that explanation.
So Robinhood has got
trading.
a lot of people into trading. especially young people, with the promise.
What email was to spam because of the post office, that's what Robinhood is to trading.
Yeah.
It's free.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Leo's trying
It isn't really free because you have to spend money to buy the stock, but you don't pay a commission. The thing is, and the thing that people don't understand is Robinhood makes a lot of money without charging commission. And the way they do it is, in effect, by giving you a bad price for the stock. So it's
not terribly bad. It's just a little bit bad, but at scale, it adds up.
You would, if you should
all about
probably,
the beeps, y'all.
Before you use Robinhood, you should probably compare the price, the price that you're buying or selling with some other places, just to make sure
regular broker
you're getting a guy who charges commission. Or the problem is now, because of the success of Robinhood, all of Schwab and E-Trade and all of these are starting to follow suit. But so you have to kind of learn about what the spread is, which is the difference between the price you're paying for it and the price the person buying is paying for it. And the bigger that spread, the more money Robinhood's making and the less money you're making. So it's complicated.
If you want to understand more about this, Michael Lewis's Flash Boys is a great book.
Highly recommend
it. Talks about the value of a millisecond.
Yeah,
in trade.
The whole story starts out, they're building a fiber optic connection between Chicago and New York that is as straight as possible, because if there's even one bend in it, that slows the light down. And that's how time, because if you can get a millisecond ahead of the trade that happened in Chicago and take advantage of it in New York, you can make money. But it's that tight, and it's what caused those flash mobs, those flash selling. Remember, there were some big crashes because all of these automated. It has to be automated. A human can't do it. So these automated trading systems are very, very volatile. Can be very, very volatile.
This is why the financial markets and banks are such big spenders on cloud computing and the latest in networking.
Right.
Just to bring this all back to technology.
Yeah.
In case
this was a good segment to start with.
The same thing about this whole network effect about 2 weeks ago, I believe, with Bitcoin, Litecoin, and all the other cryptocurrency just sort of taking a huge spike, and everyone could jump in and get a piece of Bitcoin going through the likes of PayPal, and just put a couple bucks there, and people were thinking they had Bitcoin when they pretty much didn't have Bitcoin because it wasn't $13,000.
Yeah, I lost $100 of Bitcoin since then.
There are a couple of there's the Wolf of Wall Street where Margot Robbie explains shorts, which is really a great moment in that movie.
Yeah.
There's The Big Short itself, which was an excellent film about 5 years ago, which is based on actually Michael Lewis's earlier book, The Big Short, which is a very good book. Right. That's the one that got him started, I think. I love. What was the one? Because Michael Lewis was a trader. No. It's before Moneyball. It was the one where he's talking about the
Poker?
big swinging D's. Liar's Poker, maybe. Yeah.
He's an excellent journalist storyteller. He really has.
He worked in the industry, so
yes,
he knows whereof he speaks. Liar's Poker, his first book, was about his own experience in the financial markets. But also The Big Short is great. Moneyball is great. That's about baseball.
Oh, Liar's Poker was his first book.
Liar's Poker was great.
First notable book.
If you want a kind of insight into what it was like to work in the 1980s and 90s in Wall Street, it's really hysterical. Very, very good book, and very. I don't pretend to understand any of this, by the way, and you don't have to email me or complain on Twitter about our. We've done our best.
You did a good job, I think.
No,
I don't know anything.
Yeah, because
I don't know anything. So don't take my word for it.
I guarantee you, there are people listening going, "You guys don't understand this at all."
No, you just.
That happens a lot in the financial markets because they're like, you don't believe the same things we do. Right. You look at it differently. Right. You're so naive, and you're like, am I, or am I just smart?
That's where it really. It reminds me so much of conspiracy.
I make the deposit and leave it. And be at peace with it. I'm not as stressed out as you folks are about this stuff.
It reminds me so much of QAnon and conspiracy theories in general, and because a lot of it is belief, and face.
No. Stop. Okay, that's not true. There are fundamental values, but what it is gaslighting. It's like, oh,
there you go.
And it lends itself so well to the modern meme
ain't no
machine.
gaslighting like financial gaslighting. Woo. Believe me, I have had many a trader argue with me on things, but yeah. So it's not a conspiracy theory though, because there is actually fundamental value in most of these stocks and issuances, and maybe it's not where it's at. And there's always I think if we really want to get into this, I think there's some really interesting things coming. One, intangibles like IP are becoming much more important in valuations, right? And we don't really know how to value an intangible because it's not a hard asset, right? Two, I think we've been optimizing for decades for profit margins and efficiency. And we need to start thinking about resiliency. And I tweeted this recently, but this was in response to Intel's, there are some activist hedge funds coming after Intel. And one of the issues is they want them to, and Intel makes a lot of their own chips, not all, but most. And they need to invest in manufacturing still. And the argument is, let's not do that. Just go to TSMC and Taiwan Semiconductor.
TSMC?
Yeah, I was like,
What's
TSMC?
that?
Is that it? Yes, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation.
Thank you.
And, Intel, you don't need to be in the business of making this. And they're like, well, it's part of national security. I don't know if we want to go get on the national security horse, but there is something to be said about auto chip makers right now auto companies can't buy chips from TSMC right now because other companies have ordered them. So there's something about resiliency and having, a little bit more slack in your supply chain that's probably makes it very important for Intel to have their own manufacturing and not outsource all of that. The point here is that Wall Street thinks in terms of efficiencies and eking out profit margins, and I don't think that fits in today's world. That was a really long thing, but since we're talking about financial value and Wall Street and conspiracy theories, I figured I'd throw that in there.
Well, we could go on and on.
And Stacey will.
No, about honestly, there's some real structural issues in general in our financial markets, in the intersection between our financial markets and our politics. I mean, and the problem is where there's a lot of money to be made, you can never trust people's motivations. Integrity goes out the window sometimes if there's a lot of money in there.
Any system that can be gamed will be gamed.
Yeah.
That's the fundamental law of life. The markets prove it. The internet proves it.
Yeah, it's being gamed.
Life proves it.
That's actually perfect synopsis. That's exactly right. I first learned that when my friend Kevin Rose was running Dig, which was a great idea, brilliant idea, brought to its knees and eventually dismantled by gamers, by people gaming the algo.
Yeah.
And our friend Matt Cutts, that was his full-time job for years, was effectively blocking gamers from gaming.
The fundamental mistake that the platforms all made was not doing, especially Google did it better because they were dealing with information, not people. They had Matt Cutts, who was brilliant.
Yeah.
Hi, Matt. They dealt with spam and things like that. When you dealt with people, gaming people, that's the problem with Facebook and Twitter. It's just much sicker in some ways. And I put myself in this boat. I was too optimistic. And certainly the founders of these companies were, and they didn't build in enough systems to detect and counteract the gaming. They thought there was such a thing as neutrality.
You can't do that. That's the beauty of people is we'll work around. I mean,
they'll get away around.
We're like ants.
We're the worst. The worst.
I don't know if we're
awful.
The worst. I mean,
we're awful.
Well, the problem is the technology.
Insect
the problem is
ants,
us.
not me, by the way.
Yeah, and
Let's
so
make
if
sure
you
that's
think about, yeah, sorry, not you, Ann.
The other
sorry.
kind
I
of
think that when you
the little
have
ant.
a sugar spill and you put something in front of them, they will find a way.
And if I were the kind of person that wanted to build giant edifices of conjecture and cause and effect, I would say that's because ants, in effect, work like networks. That's precise. They're not individuals. They act in concert, and so they're very able to get around things, flow around things like water. An individual might be stymied by that barrier, but they signal to one another. They're very clever. it's so hard for me not to despair and just say humans are awful. Anything with a critical mass of humans is going to go downhill. But at the same time, yes, it's not false. It's true. But at the same time, as we're awful, we're amazing. We create amazing works of art. We went to the moon. I mean, we're amazing. We're both at the same time. We are such a contradiction.
Yeah, we have choices. That's the whole point, is that we have choices. And it's not, all of life hasn't gone to hell in a handbasket. All of life is not utopia. At every turn, we have choices to make. And we need to make those choices informed.
Oh my God, we're back at the Garden of Eden. Holy mackerel. We have now discovered
I could argue against that, because I don't know if we do have choices, or maybe we make all choices simultaneously.
Sorry, I feel like you should be saying we have the ability to make choices.
Yes, whether we actually do that effectively is another matter. and I think
that's part of the fun, though.
That's another long-time argument about free will versus determinism.
Oh boy!
You believe?
Hey, is
you
it
believe
time for
this week?
You believe we have free will? Maybe we don't. Maybe we don't.
This week in Calvin.
Who was that sponsor?
I do. Anyway, thank you for indulging our conversation about this. I find it fascinating, this whole GameStop thing, and now it's happening in AMC. And now that these people have felt their oats, this Reddit subreddit and others, I expect to see more of this kind of behavior. Will there be a healing function? A lot of times when you get these, they always talk about not marching in lockstep across a bridge, because the resonance of all your footfalls will actually break the bridge. You have to break step.
Don't say that to me. Don't say that to me. That scares me.
So you have to break step. Is there some sort of I don't think it's the SEC. I think the SEC just went, what happened?
There's nothing illegal about this, right? What Reddit did, it's all public. There's no insider information, right? Is there anything possibly illegal?
This is not illegal. This is actually how markets work.
It is. Pump and dump is illegal.
Pumping and dumping, and there is manipulation through, like sending people, seeding false information about short sellers, because that's what Patrick Byrne was so upset about.
That's right.
But it sounds like they just towed the line in that Reddit group, right? They went right up to it.
They're not dumping. They're just pumping.
Yeah.
I should warn you that there is a risk. A guy on Twitter who started posting in 2016, his real name, he posted under the name Ricky Vaughn. You might have seen his tweets. His real name, Douglas Mackey of West Palm Beach, Florida, has been indicted by the Department of Justice for conspiring with others to spread election misinformation, not stock misinformation, but election misinformation designed to deprive individuals of their constitutional right to vote. He's been charged with violating the Civil Rights Conspiracy Statute. The penalties for that could be up to 10 years in prison. So I think that there are...
Okay, no. But the legal argument there is related to voting rights, not related to anything regarding stock markets or peddling misinformation.
I understand. And it's probably a civil... I don't know what pump and dump. Is that a civil or a criminal?
Pump and dump is civil, and pump and dump actually doesn't have anything to do with short sellers necessarily. Pump and dump is anytime you pump up, it's usually with OTC stocks. It's when you give false information and you talk up a stock, and then you
so that you can get a higher price and sell it.
Right.
Dump.
Exactly.
So the pump is you pump up the price. The dump is you sell it as soon as that price goes up. It's a form of fraud, and it's been absolutely, used to be a lot harder to do, but now thanks to social media, it's a lot easier.
Well, and those kind of things were why we had, we have most states have regulations, and the SEC has regulations, although they are being dismantled by the venture capital industry, believe it or not, against common people. It's unsophisticated investors.
Well, that's what the Wolf of Wall Street went to jail for, in fact.
Yeah.
When I used to work I worked at a local business journal, and you would actually see companies created go on the OTC market and pitch their stocks. Now, those were public, so anyone could buy them. You didn't have to be sophisticated. But you can also see how it would be very easy for someone to go, go to a bunch of old people and pitch this great, like, hey, I'm going to do COVID testing, and then we're going to go public. So I just need you to invest, $10,000 today. And, you've got your file, you've got your papers for incorporation, you've got all this, and then people give you the money and then you just run. And that's
called
why
Kickstarter.
Don't get me started.
Shade.
I've been pumped many times.
No,
and then dumped.
Yeah. I'm supposed to get a briefcase I ordered 2 years ago this week.
Oh Lord.
Is it like Inspector Gadget?
Take it where?
Yeah. Every time I do that, and I get like a package 2 years later, I go, what is this? Oh God, I dimly remember ordering this, and then it turns out it's like made of plastic. It's like
you feel so stupid.
Yeah, it's stupid. I fall for that stuff all the time. So
so wait, Leo. We one of my sports on the show is to get you to buy something occasionally. Can you buy a 1 share short on GameStop and just see how it plays out today?
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Please don't discuss this on air.
How do you know I haven't already?
Ah.
No, I don't. I don't buy individual stocks.
He doesn't do that.
Yeah, for a variety of reasons. Wasn't there some sort of penny stock story? I don't know if it was in our
let's talk about Google
rundown.
Let's do an ad and then talk about
No. I want to talk about this.
Penny stocks? Nothing good comes from penny stocks.
Nothing good. All right. I felt like I read something in the news recently, but I'll stop. We'll stop right here. Yes.
It could be Quibi,
let's mention Quibi. Let's mention one of our fine sponsors. What do you think? How about that?
Good idea.
This is one that you will really appreciate. This is one everybody should know about, and one I can say I've been using for a long time. Privacy.com. Have we talked about privacy on this show? So here's the idea of privacy.com. Create a credit card and there's 2 ways you can do it. That can only be used once. Boom, it's a burner. Or, this is what I do all the time, locks to an individual merchant. This is so cool. A lot of companies used to offer this. A number of credit card companies used to do this. They stopped, most of them for some reason. I'm not sure why. But this idea of a single-use credit card is something I use on the internet almost exclusively at privacy.com/twig. Privacy.com is named privacy, though, because it's more than just protecting you from fraud, misuse of your credit cards. It also keeps your personal information, your bank information, from the retailer. So, and it's a great way to, how many times have you bought a subscription online, a recurring charge, and then you forget and it goes on for years and blah, blah, blah. With privacy, if you use a privacy.com card, you can pause the card. You don't have to figure out how to cancel something. You just pause the card and it can't be charged. Furthermore, with privacy, you will automatically get notified about any declines. So if somebody tries to misuse your card, you'll find out. If somebody tries to charge a card that you paused, you'll find out. You can set limits. You can say this card can only be used for $50 a month for a year or whatever. So it's you'll never get overcharged. You'll never get charged twice or upgraded to another service without your consent. And if you subscribe, I wish I'd done this. I subscribed to a gym a couple of years ago. Went in, officially canceled my membership. Didn't pay any attention. They continued to charge my credit card for 6 months. When I finally contacted the credit card, they said, well, we can only reverse charges for 3 months. And we have to investigate it. It was very frustrating. Next time I'll use privacy. I don't know why I didn't. And then you don't have to jump through customer service hoops. You just block the charges. And they'll notify you anytime that somebody tries to charge over the allotted amount. You'll always stay within your budget. There's a Chrome or Firefox extension. So you can instantly create a new card and fill it in with one click. Privacy doesn't require that to use the charge. The merchant is great. So when I charge at Amazon or Audible or, I can go on and on, Nest, all of those are using single merchant privacy cards. So no one can steal that card number and use it anywhere else. I love that. It's really easy to safely share a card with a friend, a family member, or coworker. I wanted to buy my mom dinner. So I set up a DoorDash account using a privacy.com card so that I was able to share it through privacy. So there was no risk of, I didn't have to email it or text it to her. It was very easy, no screenshots, copy or paste. I shared the card. There's a button on it, and you give my mom's email address, and it's done. They handle the rest. They give complete reporting, which is great. You get an account summary, so it's easy for you to track how much you've been spending this month. There's now a new summary page for budgeting. You could filter by date, see how much you've spent in a month. No guessing where your money's going. I just go on and on. I've been using Privacy for several years now, and it's the only card I use when I buy online. It's just so convenient, so easy. Just so you know, it isn't a charge card. You can't build up and actually, to me, that's a benefit. I can't build up a balance. It comes right out of my bank account. You can attach it to a debit card or bank account, but there's no temptation there for me to overspend. I actually really like that. I can just go on and on. It's just, it's been a lifesaver for me, and I think you're going to love it. Protect your financial identity. Don't give out your real credit card numbers. Use virtual cards. Privacy.com/twig. Sign up for a new account, and you'll automatically get $5 to spend on your first purchase. It's not a lot, but it's a little thank you from us and an encouragement to use that special address, because then they know you saw it here. Privacy.com/twig. This is just a no-brainer. Use virtual numbers. Mask your bank information. Keep yourself private and secure. A great way to start the new year. A little digital hygiene. Privacy.com/twig. We thank them so much for their support of This Week in Google, and we thank you for supporting us by going to privacy.com/twig.
Leo, are you old enough to remember the charge plate as opposed to the charge card?
Yeah, they called it a plate. Yeah, I remember I'd go to Macy's, and it was a funny shape, and they put it in the machine.
And?
Well, before that, I remember the thing that they would...
And they called it a plate, yeah.
It was a metal plate, and it had notches in it.
Yeah, when I worked at the grocery store, when our power went out.
Had another notch.
Oh.
Oh, then
it was a metal plate, like an addressograph plate.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Your name and number, account number
was raised.
Embossed on it.
Was it raised?
Right, it was raised. And so the carbon paper, I have to explain that to you kids, what carbon paper is. The carbon paper would come down and make the impression on the paper, which is how they would bill you later on a paper receipt.
Are you old-splaining this? Ant and I both know this.
Really? I am. I'm old-splaining.
I know all about that.
Yeah, I used to use them when the power went down at the grocery store where I worked there.
Wow.
So
I thought they were long gone by the time you nicked.
My mother used to be a buyer for a retailer there in Carolinas, and so I saw all of that stuff and with dealing with her and her job. So yeah, I remember that stuff, man.
I got a new kind of explaining. So you see this when you're watching the NFL all the time, or I saw it a lot at the inauguration, where people wear their mask below their nose.
Yeah, that's pointless.
It's a new kind. It's the new man spreading. It's called mask spreading. I am now mask spreading. All right, new term. I just learned.
All right, what's next?
Yeah.
Stacey wants to talk about Google.
Google announces plans to tackle privacy issues in online advertising. What it really means is that Google is, like Facebook, terrified by the new IDFA rules on the iPhone. The new privacy rules are really giving it. There's estimates like it's costing Facebook like $15 million a month or something. So Google is trying to figure out a way to, in fact, I think they're going to do it. They've announced they're not going to use the IDFA, the ID for advertisers from Apple, because if they do use it, they have to pop up a thing on the iPhone that says, hey, we would like to use this to track you and give users a chance to turn it off. Of course, they know.
People are going to just decline.
They're just going to say, you're right, I don't want that. Turn it off. So Google has been working very hard to figure out a way around it. They've decided not to use IDFA, so they don't have to do that announcement. Basically their plan is to create a new way of tracking you. They're not going to call it that. They say privacy first. So this is from The Guardian, Google's new plan to tackle privacy issues. I just wanted you to have that background. Maybe I'm a cynic. In online advertising.
I know this isn't the same,
to the
but
cookie?
What about it? It makes me think of the whole GDPR when it started up a couple of years back, and I look at what has it given to us as consumers nowadays, other than that annoying pop-up that people don't read and just hit accept.
Well, I think it empowers users, in this case, on the iPhone. You don't use an iPhone, Ant, so you don't see this.
I'm one of the smart ones. Kidding.
When you look at apps in the App Store, there's actually, it looks like a nutrition label, a privacy label, that tells you, you certainly are aware of the fact that there has been an exodus away from WhatsApp, right? And signals going through the roof. That is exactly because of Apple's new privacy policy. People, that and the fact that WhatsApp felt obligated to say, and by the way, which we've always done, we're going to share this information with Facebook. But the thing is, it's now explicit. And so people are going, what? I don't know why they're surprised. What?
Yeah.
You're sharing my information with Facebook? And they're going to somewhere else, like Signal. Signal's gone through the roof. Telegram's gone through the roof.
Yep.
So if you ask me what's the impact, I just have to point to that by itself. Yeah. And that's just one of many.
Fair.
Google has been avoiding this by not updating their apps. We talked about this before since the middle of December. And they did say initially, we're going to do it. But they have announced a plan to, as the Guardian puts it, chart a middle ground between Apple's privacy-first approach and the needs of advertisers. So let me explain what Google's trying to do. They will use AI. This is actually kind of what Apple's already doing. Apple calls it differential privacy. They'll use AI to bundle your information, individual information, with similar people in an attempt to convince users they don't need to block all tracking on the internet to preserve their privacy. It's going to use and the Guardian puts this in quotes, trusted server to store advertisements without needing to connect to hundreds of providers across the wider web. That is a problem. In fact, advertisers often ask us if, because we have some banner ads on our website, if they can serve them. And we always say no for that very reason. Because, in effect, if a third party is serving an ad on a website, that third party has access to everybody who goes to that website, sees who it is, right? So Google's going to use a central server. They're also going to use crypto to ensure that advertisers only find the information they need to pay websites. We believe, this is Chetna Bindra, Google's head of user trust and privacy for advertising. That's got to be a tough job. Chetna says, we believe the notion that it's privacy or it's advertising is a false choice. We really do believe there's a way to meet user expectations and protect their identity while allowing for ad-supported content. I think...
So relate this, if you would, to the post-cookie Google Sandbox.
It's the same thing.
It's the same exact thing. Okay.
Google says it's going to start experimenting in Chrome with how to do that. A new privacy sandbox bundles together 5 proposals with bird-themed code names. My favorite is Flock.
Who do you think they are? Twitter?
My favorite is Flock, F-L-O-C.
C.
Federated Learning of Cohorts. Fledge, which is first locally executed decisions over groups. And Turtle Dove, which is not an acronym. 2 uncorrelated requests, then locally executed decision on victory. Oh, it is. Sort of.
Yes,
2
it is.
Uncorrelated requests, then locally executed turtle, decision on victory, dove, no E. These are all designed, in effect, to separate the user's identity with the user's information. And they think preferable to Apple's system, which is just say you can't track me, you can't track them.
Publishers are freaking
Google has
out
to make
still
money on
about
ads.
this.
Yeah, well, this is Google's business. This is how they make money. Period.
Yeah.
Well, and the publishers too are freaking out.
Why are publishers freaking out?
Because a lot of them basically aren't doing very well at selling their own ads. They've never done well at getting first-party data. So they depended upon these networks that required third party, and they had to produce cookies to serve to these sellers. And they never got their act together to create first party. So they're going to see a fall in value.
I have to say, for people like Stacy and others who've advocated regulating, that should be some nice governmental solution that would make this all work out. This is a good argument for the power of regulation because they're only doing this because of EU GDPR, the investigations from the Federal Trade Commission. This is them and Congress. This is them saying, well, maybe if we do this, let everybody be happy.
But the publishers said regulate them, and then they regulate them, and then there's unintended consequences. So what happens too is that there was a Guardian story not long ago that regulators looking into Google getting rid of cookies. Well, you told them to get rid of cookies, and cookies were evil, so they get rid of cookies. And then, what are you doing to get rid of cookies? You have too much power. It's the old can't win too.
Well, Google did say publishers will see a palpable impact on their Google ad revenue on iOS once this
it's regulatory
happens.
capture again. Google can afford this. They can do whatever they can. You want us to re-regulate how all of advertising works? Okay, we'll do that, and we're going to end up stronger than we were before. It's the way all of these things, GDPR, all of these things have made the platforms stronger in the end.
Allison Schiff, writing at adexchanger.com, says Facebook could take a multi-billion-dollar revenue hit from Apple's IDFA changes, as much as 7% of total revenue in Q2. Actually, she's quoting a consultant, Eric Seufert of Mobile Dev Memo. That'd be about $5 billion based on the current revenue. That's a significant. So, to answer your question, this is more than a cookie checkbox.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big
It changes the
deal.
architecture.
Yeah. You think in a bad way, Jeff? Do you think it's going to harm publishers?
Well, no. I know it's going to harm publishers. Yes.
Well, what are the unintended
that's
consequences?
Because they don't have the data. Google has the data. They don't have the data, and they can't share.
They never have had the
anymore.
data, though, right?
Because they were in networks of third-party data. So when you demonize third-party data and you never had your own strategy to get first-party data, you're screwed. Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing, because the publishers should have. I've argued to them for 10 years now that they should have created the means to get their own first-party data by creating things that were customized for users rather than just a mass. But they refused to do it. They absolutely refused. They just didn't know how to do it. And so they're dependent upon programmatic networks. And one of the pioneers of programmatic was at an event that I had at my school, and this person scolded the publishers in the room and said, "Why the hell are you on programmatic? You're commodifying yourself. There's no value to your environment. There's no value to your brand. You're just putting your stuff out there as a commodity." And they said, well, we got nothing else, basically. And plus, that's where the advertisers are. So the publishers could have 20 years ago built better strategies, and then this wouldn't be an issue for them. It's an issue for them because they didn't do that.
But all this stuff was also a moving target too.
Yeah, you're right.
Back in the day, so it's we can't really say they planned it poorly.
It's not like
a moving target.
Well,
really, no.
No, I'll disagree to this extent. You're right, Ant, when it comes to understanding, putting your finger to the wind and predicting where the ad technology was going to go. But in terms of a basic strategy of saying, if I know my users and I have a direct relationship with my users and I serve them in a high value way through knowing them, then they would have been set up properly. They would have been ready to buffet through lots of storms. But they didn't. They just said, we got all this inventory. We can't sell it. Let's fire the salespeople. We'll put it up on programmatic. And we'll,
did they really have a choice now looking
different back then? Just
looking back, did they have a choice?
Yes, they absolutely did.
If they had started then to build these platforms.
Yeah. I mean, the New York Times did that because it's the New York effing Times, right? So the New York Times built its food app and food business just for this reason. So they know you're a foodie and they can sell you high value things.
Do that. They just started that like 2 years ago. I mean, or it
and then the New York, well, I think actually longer than that, but they're the New York effing Times, so they can do that kind of thing. They have the money to develop it. They have the brand. They can convert. They can do all that. But yeah, newspaper companies could have done this. They could have done it locally. What town do you live? The hell I went through to try to get newsrooms to merely geotag content with a town or county, even a county. Just geotag it so we could serve it to people based on where they're coming in from. Or I wanted to set it up so that you would have your own little feed, and I'll tell you where I live and where I work, and we'll give you a feed. I could not get a single newsroom in my company or other companies ever to do that. They just make one product for everybody, and they want to find new ways to pay for old ways to do the business.
All right. But let's talk about the present, because it's too late now for that.
I know. I'm doing my grandpa moment.
What do you think? At least it sounds like Google's trying. So Apple has been, and honestly, I support Apple, but
Apple finds fun ways to kill the ad business because it's not in it. That's Apple's game.
It's not in it, and there are going to be consequences to this. Google's trying to do the best it can, balancing the interests of advertisers and the requirements from Apple and the interest, let's point it out, from its customers in privacy. What do you think of Google's attempt to do this? It seems like a good start. Yes. Yeah. I think it's a good, and they're trying to bring the publishers in. They're trying to train the publishers, but publishers are still going to lose a fair amount. Yeah. But yes, this is. But again, let's not forget. If you're Google, fine. If you're a publisher who has political clout, fine. If you're the New York Times,
let's say you're a little schmo.
But the Indianapolis Current.
Well, or you're a travel search engine, a small travel search engine, right? And I don't know what happens to you in an entirely new architecture of advertising, where third party. Because what you did before was I could generate data. I could say this person came. This person came to my site. They looked at boots. Now I can put a cookie on them to say this is a boot-interested consumer, and the boots are going to follow you all around the internet for 6 weeks, even after you bought the damn things, right? That's how it operated. And I could get money by generating that data, or I could get money by serving that ad. I could play in a couple ways. Well, now I can't really play in either because third-party data is outlawed. And so Google can afford their own. They know where you've gone on the internet. They know how to do this. But little tiny Leo's travel site, no, that's out of luck.
I would say.
Sorry, Stacey.
No. I'm just going to throw something out here. I know we're focused on advertising, display advertising, but I think as technology moves deeper into our lives, and you look at things like digital assistants, and you look at voice, we get into this weird place where. And there will be fights over this. When I ask for something, I get it. And I don't know the business model behind it, but it's not advertising. It's not what we see today.
Yes,
if I'm asking, so I feel like to go forward, you've got to think about how do you charge for these things? How do you not alienate your user? Because that's where, and like I was talking to my husband about this, Andrew, and he was like, well, I think companies like Google's assistant will say, hey, it's your wife's birthday next week. Do you want to order flowers for $39? Do you want to order these flowers? And then what happens is florists will bid for the chance to get you to serve you that, which is a different type of programmatic market.
Yes.
And isn't really ad-based.
It's permission-based. It's permission-based market. Yes, I want flowers. Show me the best you got.
And so we're getting to that. So I think it's really like we're looking back at what the mistakes that we made, but we need to be looking forward to like what does privacy look like under that framework?
Amen.
Where does the money come from?
Yes. And take advantage of new opportunities. I have my avuncular Uncle Jeff obnoxious standard lines for my students. You can imagine. One of them is that when journalists face a problem, they report on it and go to the bar. When engineers face a problem, they try to solve it. And when entrepreneurs face a problem, they try to exploit it, right? And so the problem is we need to pay for these services in new ways. My business hasn't done that, but there's lots of new ways. But beyond that, there's new services, like what you just said. Right? By the way, my sister scared me to death 2 days ago. She texted me and she said, "Isn't today your wife's birthday?" I knew better, but it's just scary. It's next month, damn it! And she gave me a heart attack. So yeah, I could use that service, right? I think you've heard my spiel on the show before. I think that the internet thus far has been built to speak, and I celebrate that because we have Black Lives Matter and we have Me Too, but it hasn't been built to listen. So I think there are services to be had to help me find who and what are worth listening to, and maybe to verify things, right?
As I've said before, it's still the line of what are you willing to give up for for these extra benefits, and it's just going to be some give and take. It is what it is.
There's a market. There'll be a market for these things, and we'll see how it works out. But there's all kinds of new services to envision, but publishing is stuck in trying to pay for what they always did. And actually, I would argue, I think, Stacey, the larger point you're raising too, is that Google and Facebook are also stuck in the old ad market, in the attention-based ad market. And they haven't really started to reimagine that kind of service and that kind of middle role in marketing. And they're still selling attention. I think I'm going to short Google.
They know it's coming. No.
Yeah, they do.
Well, okay. They know it's coming. They're working on it. That's why you see their deals to buy all kinds of, like, more data and hardware deals, like the Fitbit deal. I think like getting that context, they're trying to build up their understanding of people's context and surroundings to deliver those services. Pardon?
Yeah. Self-driving cars, right?
So
you're going to sit in your car and be entertained. I'm going to take you somewhere.
Paint for us a picture, and it doesn't have to be you, Jeff, but certainly you have an opinion, but everybody. In this,
whatever it is, I'm sure I do.
In this world where Google's doing this, some sort of differential privacy, Apple's saying, as kind of an absolutist on privacy. Most users now, Cory Doctorow calls it the largest consumer boycott in the history of the world. Many users are running ad blockers, privacy blockers. What are the consequences of this kind of privacy-focused world? I mean, this is the world we're going to have, so it's not like you could, at this point, advocate for anything else. I'll let you start, Jeff, since I know you've been thinking about this.
Tim Berners-Lee wants just this. He wants you to have a vault of your data, and that you can choose whether to negotiate with somebody.
But what's the consequence? I'm asking about the consequence. Do all the small town papers go out of business?
Yeah.
That means local news is no longer collected? Nobody's going to cover the city councils?
No, it doesn't mean that at all. It means there's new ways to do it.
Go ahead, Stacey. Yeah. What do you think?
Stacey, you go.
Well, I don't think that's actually what's going to happen because it's too much work for consumers. I think what's more likely to happen, but if I follow your thought experiment, one of the losses will be things like a greater understanding of populations. So if you think about like pulling together algorithms or AI, to understand health outcomes.
Right.
Soliciting me, I trust the system, I'll give you my data, so then that influences the algorithm. But think about people who may not trust the system. They're not going to give it, and that's going to influence it again. So I think there's a loss associated with some of this at different levels. I don't think people are prepared for the minutia of information that is collected about them to go places. Like for a split second in time, an advertiser might care that I went to, I don't know, my local bakery, but they're not going to care about that forever. And right now, this is built on the free flow of information. When that comes to be a decision point, we're not going to have as much, we won't have advertising in certain ways, but we also, you'll have to convince people of the value of a service like Waze, right? And it'll be interesting to see who can build services, because a lot of people build services that they can't afford early on with advertising dollars. Sometimes they never give it up, but sometimes they do. So there's, but I don't think we're ever going to get there. So
do podcasts pick up the slack? Who picks up the slack for the?
Yeah, there was this great article on 1-0. Oh, sorry, Ant, you go.
No, you had said something, and then we'll give Ant a chance. Don't stop. It was
talking about local news going to Nextdoor. Did you read this, Jeff? I thought of you when I saw it. So it's all about people. But the problem is Nextdoor is a platform only for people who actually live in a certain area. So people can't, if you were outside that area, you can't join and refute arguments made is kind of one of the. But
right, and I met with them trying to bring in newspapers into Nextdoor, but they're suspicious of other brands.
This is Will Oramus's article from yesterday. Nextdoor is quietly replacing the small town paper. While Facebook and Twitter get the scrutiny, Nextdoor is reshaping politics one neighborhood at a time. Certainly Nextdoor does have that information, but it's written by your neighbors, right? It's not written by...
Yes. There's the stuff you can imagine in there. There's things that are wrong. My wife has gotten this one guy kicked off of Nextdoor about 3 times.
See, that's the problem I have with this is sometimes that neighborhood is not quite the sharpest group. I hate saying it that way. I think let me just say this. I'll think back to one of the neighborhoods that I lived in years ago, and all of the horrendous information that they would share amongst themselves, and it would eventually come back to me because I didn't want to associate with some of the idiocy. And this right here, I get their approach of trying to keep local news alive because it seems like local news is starting to sort of fade away. But if you just putting it down to the people and having them being the source, I don't dig that at all.
So it sounds like that we should all join Nextdoor to fix it, though, right? I mean, if
you can only fix it in the small area where you live. So if my neighborhood's cool, but there's some flaming racists the next neighborhood over, and there are more of them making decisions that affect me as a whole community, and they're like spouting their conspiracy theories over there, I have no way to know it or in no way to refute it or go in and do anything about it. I mean, it's the same issue like, India has had this issue with misinformation spreading on WhatsApp, and they were like, screw it, we're going to just not let you go on WhatsApp. I mean, I can't tell you how many times.
Well, you can't. I can't help the people not Nextdoor. They're going to have to work on their own issues. Yeah. But shouldn't I participate in my Nextdoor?
Yeah, you're as a good neighbor. Yeah. Because they ask questions like, I started my Nextdoor group after Hurricane Sandy. And because we needed to find out things together. We needed to share things together. It was a platform that was built for that. And it's verified identity, so they're truly my neighbors. Now, the problem was they said you have to have like 72 neighbors. Well, I live on 3-acre zoning out here in the country. I said, to get 72 people, I've got people who are 5 miles away. I don't know who they are.
Right.
But they kind of did it anyway. I have my little old neighborhood. But now they've spread it out. To get enough traffic, they have the next 2 towns over. So some things I care about, some things I don't care about. But it's another input. It's like LinkedIn is not my whole life, but occasionally LinkedIn's useful. Occasionally Nextdoor is useful. But and Ant's right, though. Occasionally also my neighbors are real dorks.
I just signed up for Nextdoor in my neighborhood, and this is the first thing I see is a good neighbor pledge to be helpful. Yes. Do not discriminate. We do not tolerate racism.
Like the Boy Scouts.
That's the same terms of service no one ever reads.
Okay.
Just like any other app.
So, but honestly, by doing this and having community guidelines, they could clean it up. I mean,
Nextdoor is the home of racist people, and Nextdoor moderators are normal people who live in your neighborhood.
Yeah, it's almost like you don't want to really realize who's living near you.
It's like it's. Yeah, go on, Ian.
No, you were asking for us to paint a picture, and my picture, part of it, I see just a bunch of silos, and one side of me likes things being sort of siloed off, and just because I'm introverted and sort of like to keep away from myself, but at the same time, it's not good to have things siloed off where people aren't able to get good, valuable information. And this whole Nextdoor thing, let me give you my perspective. I'm the new guy here. The Pruitts, we're the new people here in this particular neighborhood. And we were told about Nextdoor, logged in and got verified, yada, yada, yada. And oh my goodness, I couldn't do it. I couldn't stay in there. I couldn't read through it. It was
it racist?
Well, it's not racist stuff, but it's just a lot of people that just don't have a lot of common sense with some of the stuff that I've seen. But yet, if I physically walk outside my front door and look at my neighbor to the left, absolutely love them. I have the best neighbors in the world. I mean, they made me shepherd's pie last week.
Oh,
really? That's really sweet. So Nextdoor doesn't really show that part. Nextdoor is showing me all of this other underbelly that I want no part of.
Yeah. I'm looking at my Nextdoor now that I signed up, and it's all pretty good. Like, how much rain did you get? Hey, here's a guy who's doing irrigation. Somebody wants to know, hey, I want to donate my body to science. 63 comments from people
awesome.
Explaining how to do that. Where do I get a vaccine? Stuff like that.
Scroll down on your vaccine. See how many anti-vaxxers pop up.
Oh, that's good. Here's 73 comments. Does anybody know anything about vaccines? Now, I'm trying to see the comments. How do I see that?
Okay, I'm in mine, so the same thing. Well, it says see previous 44 comments or whatever.
Yeah, but I'm clicking it and nothing.
Oh.
So there it is. See.
So Stacy and mine, I'm looking
there
at
they
right
are.
now.
Oh boy. Let's see if we get any anti-vaccine.
Mine is entirely about the details of getting it.
That's great.
It's not antibiotic.
I haven't seen anybody yet. Vaccine update. Here's where you go. If you're over 75, here's this.
Oh, I got one. No, I got one. Yeah.
Well, I'm in Northern
Microbiologist
California. I'm in Northern California. I'm not going to probably get a lot of.
And what happens is you get a
Northern
bunch
California
of people.
too.
I know. Yeah, you're in Roanoke Park. That's a very different town than Petaluma.
You get.
I should have warned you
this.
about that, Aunt. No, I'm just teasing.
You get a bunch of people who are normal people, and then you get the one person who's not normal, and then other people try to engage, and they double down being extra awful. And anytime someone's a jerk, you notice it way more than you do someone who's like a normal person.
So my premise that everybody, that the good people should participate, join, and drown out the bad people, is that a false premise?
No, I think
you can
that's
provide
fine,
useful
but,
information.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying that.
Look at it that way.
In Austin, my Nextdoor would start with, granted, we would go to it for much entertainment, like especially around Halloween when the inappropriate decorations came out. But you also did there was definitely people, and again, this was 2 years ago, but they were like letting you know there's a black man in a hoodie walking down the street.
Yeah. That neighborhood had that problem big time. That was the Ring doorbell thing.
Yeah. And sometimes, or someone will say something, borderline, or, this happened in Texas. People would, the lawn signs for various politicians. That was always, it gets heated. But most of the time, yes, it's very like, oh, hey, I've got too many zucchinis. Anyone want them?
Yeah.
Come get them. They're
Okay,
on my
I
porch.
went through the whole vaccine thread. Not one person said, oh, don't do that. It'll kill you or anything like that. It's all like, here's how you do it. Whereas it was very helpful stuff. Yeah. So maybe I just live in a better neighborhood than you do? I don't know.
Yeah, you do, because I logged in, and the first thing that I saw was something quite nice. And then the second thing says, just move on. I've come to realize you can't just block annoying people and move on.
Yeah.
It's that extreme.
Does it have blocking?
Wow.
It really looks like a forum.
They actually listen. As I say, my wife has gotten this one guy out. I think he's out permanently now because there was 3 strikes.
Yeah.
And he was being a jerk, and she reported him, and they did something.
Well, we have bad neighbors. It's not that we don't have bad neighbors.
Oh, Lord knows. Yeah, I don't need the internet to have my bad neighbors. They've been bad for long before the internet.
Sometimes people get blocked for teasing people. Nextdoor isn't a forum for teasing people, but man, sometimes people just, and I can
no
people get
on
offended. Yeah. So you gotta know your audience.
Huh.
I don't know.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we got to do something.
Okay. Hey, speaking of the Ring doorbell, did you see they have a new, this is a good one for you, Stacey. They have a new $60 entry-level doorbell.
Yep.
And the way they save money is they don't put a battery in it. But I have a wired doorbell. I don't know if most people do, but I think that's not uncommon.
It's not uncommon. And it's super easy, y'all. You don't even, okay. I'm not going to tell you this. That would be irresponsible. I was like, most of the time, you don't even have to turn off the power to do a doorbell because
it's low voltage, but you still should probably. I didn't.
I'm like, somebody's going to have normal.
Yeah, they're going to be blasted.
They'll die, and they'll be like,
Cutie nasty grams for Stacey Higginbotham.
No, but
so you know what? Turn off your power.
Be safe. Yeah. A lot of times.
So I put in the rundown. I put in Stacey's forebears. Did you see that one? You ever watched this video?
Wait a minute. Let's just finish up on this, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done. Oh.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Uh-oh, democracy. Sorry.
No, yeah. Let's finish one before we go to the next one. How about that?
I thought you were done with that one. I was okay. Never
what
mind.
did I raise my hand and say anybody?
I apologize.
Anybody have anything else? I just wanted to ask Stacey.
I apologize already.
You think this is a good doorbell?
I'm not going to steal Ant's thing.
Are we scared of Amazon and the Ring? Or is that
I don't like. This is super cheap, and the reason why I think is because Wise has a doorbell,
right?
Too, so we're seeing prices get lower.
Good.
I don't like Ring simply because I don't want to pay a subscription to get access to my feed.
Right.
And that's,
how much is the sub, by the way? How much does that cost? The subscription to get your data.
Well, it's to see videos after a certain amount of time. That's very fast. Like if you don't catch it in the first 2 hours, you're done.
What I'm asking, Stacey, is that their primary or their secondary revenue stream? Is this the long haul? Is this about subscription money or is it still hardware?
This is about sustainability for a connected device. So you can sell it on hardware, and your margins are probably okay. They're less on a $60.
If you
doorbell.
have one Ring doorbell or security camera, $3 a month, $30 annually. If you want to have more than one, then it goes up. You could have as many as you want for $10 a month, $100 annually. So it's actually a better deal than the Nest Protect. It's not that expensive. And for free, you get Ring and motion alerts, custom motion detection, interact.
But what you don't get is,
video
you get your
demand.
live video on demand, but you can go back to that thing so I can see what their plan is.
You get
on
30 to
access
60
recording.
days if you pay for it. You get no recordings if you don't.
Right. So basically, if you miss
Done.
that person at your doorbell, you can't see them stealing your package.
Right. And for the $100 annually, you get professional monitoring as well. Which
Do you
is
have any
actually a
idea
good
what
deal.
proportion subscribe?
I have been trying to get that data forever. Oh, but what I was
Bet you
saying about sustainability is when you have a connected product, you're constantly having to pay to update it with like security updates, the software associated with it. And then the cloud costs associated with the video going to the cloud and getting stored is just constantly accruing. So that's why connected products always try to have a subscription plan, because you can't pay for them all up front because the costs accumulate over time.
The Wise camera is not yet available, but it's out. It's half the price. It's $30.
Right, and it's local, so it has both cloud and you can pop an SD card in it.
Yeah, that's a nice thing. Then you don't have to pay any subscription with the SD card. They do also have an optional subscription, though, don't they? I believe.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, you can get home monitoring and all of that
But
stuff.
people did not like the $30 Wise video doorbell. I did not test it because
Oh,
I'm
interesting.
no longer testing doorbells,
So
according to my husband.
the basic plan, which is free with all devices for Wise, again, the $30 camera. And John said his is on his way, so we'll ask John when you get yours how you like it tomorrow. 12-second video events, 5-minute cooldown period, motion triggered, but no face detection, pet detection. And it looks like if you're going to do recording, you have to do it yourself. Cam Plus, which is cheap, it's $125 a month when you buy a year, gives you vehicle detection, package detection, fast forwarding through events. You can record events. So Wise is really making their name in the business by completely undercutting the big guys. And I love seeing it bring prices down even for the big guys. So you're right. I think this is Wise. This is the response
kudos
to Wise.
to Wise.
Yeah. Okay, now we can move on, Jeffrey.
Well, no. I don't want to. Now it's no. Never mind. It's not a democracy. You pick. No.
No, it is. And
I wait.
it's,
No.
It's one of the reasons that from time to time I'll say, "Is there anything you guys would like to talk about?"
No, but you're being forced to do it. I don't want you to be. No. You pick it.
This
You're
looks
the
like a
boss.
story you put in here. Google Play bans video app for standard .ass subtitle support. How did I know? So
that was mine.
ASS stands for Advanced
My
Substation
juvenile sense
Alpha
of humor.
files. It is not a naughty word for the buttocks area, but Google, of course.
You know, when they were coming up with that standard, they were like, let's call it ass.
Okay, so
The alternative is SRT, correct?
there's a variety, I think, of these for these subtitles. Yeah, I think SRT. There's others like ass-like. There's ass-like SSA.
SSA,
Which is
that's
Substation Alpha, and then there's Advanced Substation Alpha, which really should be SA, but and then you're right, SRT, TTML, VTT. There's quite a few of them.
Reminds me of a great Seinfeld.
Which
Ass man license plates.
Oh yeah, that's right. Bad idea. Loon's balloon is popped. Have we done this story?
Nope.
There's all
you
the air
talked about
going
it
out
on Sunday.
Yeah, the problem is I have different shows and different calendar. So Astro Teller, best name ever. The man who runs the Google's X, their what do they call them? Moonshots or other bets. He says it's not a failure. It's not a failure. We've learned These were the balloons that were going to provide 4G internet access anywhere in the globe. Remember, Facebook had their own version of this, these drones called Aquila drones, which they killed
about a year ago, right?
A while ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Loon was founded in 2011, and it was used. It's been used in a number of ways. It was used in Peru after, I think, an earthquake. It was used after Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico in 2017. They have been using it in Kenya as a commercial service for LTE, 35 balloons covering a 50,000 square kilometer area over the city of Nairobi. But it was never going to turn a profit. And I have to think that things like Elon Musk's Starlink, which is going to use satellites to do the same thing, actual full internet, not just LTE, maybe
he's probably going to eat his lunch, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, is that it? Oh, okay. And you got two competitors in that field, right?
Yeah, Bezos.
Bezos.
The balloons were expensive.
Tens of thousands
per balloon.
Tens of thousands of dollars.
And they died after 5 months.
Yeah.
And people
that's
who
pocket
are in
change for Google.
Yeah, but
but not under Ruth Porat.
Yeah, they don't want to spend the pocket change. They want to keep it.
They said $100 million a year. That it was losing $100 million a year.
There were apparently regulatory hurdles.
There's always regulatory.
Yeah.
So why did they do it in the first place?
Well, because providing broadband to places that don't have broadband is a public good.
Oh, it's God's work.
It's not always about the privileged people, you know.
But
this is not. I wanted them to succeed, but was this a bad business plan? If it's bad now, then why wasn't it bad 9 years ago? Is what I'm just trying to understand.
It was, but they were trying to get. I mean, the hope was that they would come up with some way to build economies of scale. So maybe the balloons would get cheaper over time. Maybe governments would help fund it to bring, and that just
because it's still important work. It's still vital, and it's still good for their business. The more people they can get on the internet, it's God's work all around.
Well, and Stephen Levy got talked to Astro Teller about it, and Teller said, "Look, this is." He said, "It's not a failure. It's a successful experiment." Levy says, "I asked him what an unsuccessful experiment might look like. Real failure
all the
is
balloons exploded."
Yeah. No, real failure, says Astro Teller, is when the data tells you what you're doing isn't the right thing and you do it anyway. It's
right.
It's his version of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
I love that response.
Yeah.
You all talked about that Sunday. I believe it was
Langston.
Yeah. That brought it up, and it makes perfect sense. You look at a lot of businesses. Heck, you can just look at production, people that produce shows and podcasts and things like that. After a while, you see a certain way of your content is not really growing. You say, okay, I need to pivot. You don't just keep bleeding yourself to death.
My wife, Lisa Laporte, is the Ruth Porat of Twit.
And yet we're still on the air.
And we're still crushing it, baby.
No, but, and I appreciate it and admire it because I will never get rid of anything. I will do a show forever, but if it costs us money to do it.
Are you trying to tell us something right now?
Huh?
Are you trying to tell us something?
We have sponsors.
You're going to blame Lisa for it? Is that it?
Yeah, it's Lisa's fault. So the other thing that I thought was interesting, this was from Stephen Levy's story on Wired, is that when Loon was started, internet availability was 75% of the world. Now it's 93% of the world.
Really?
Yeah.
And
as a satellite?
Just finally people wiring up the world.
Global.
And then the remaining areas, Levy says, are primarily populated by either those who can't afford the 4G phones Loon requires or aren't convinced that the internet is worth the effort. There
are the 6%, like even at the
internet
U.S.
deniers.
I would talk.
Yeah.
Well, no, they just. Yeah. So here's one. There's a large portion who just don't have computers, right? So that was why they didn't get on. They didn't see the point in it, right? There was actually like 1 or 2% who were very focused on porn. They were just like, that is how porn gets into your house.
Oh, they focused on keeping it out.
They don't want it. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, this is why they don't have it.
I was thinking the opposite.
And the rest were just like, it made no sense. And a lot of these people were older. Some people had it at the office and felt like that was sufficient. I mean,
There's monks and nuns who aren't on the internet, you know. I think
there are days when I wish I weren't on the internet.
Yeah.
There are days which the internet wishes I weren't.
The growth of it is, what did you say? It's like 90, how much? 93% coverage now?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
In 11 years.
That makes me think about my sister, my youngest boy. I'm trying to think how old he is. All right. So it's been at least 10 years that my sister in South Carolina, her residents didn't have internet access.
Wow.
Just didn't have it. They just got it about 2 weeks ago. They just got fiber out there.
Oh,
for about 10 years. No internet.
Now, I have no reason why Google killed Tilt Brush.
I didn't know what the heck Tilt Brush was.
It was one of the best VR painting games
that 4 people played.
Well,
and now it's open source.
Yeah, at least they. You know what? I gotta praise them for doing that. That's the way. If you can, to kill any software project, open source it.
Reader.
Yeah, I wish they'd done that.
They have done a federated reader ages ago.
Or Wave. Open source it, because if an open source project doesn't have to have the same metrics as a commercial project by Google to survive. And right. I bet you anyway. We'll see. You know what? We'll watch and see what happens with Tilt Brush. This is an example though of a product Google bought in 2015. Praising its innovative approach to 3D painting. It even had Tilt Brush artists in residence. But Ruth Porat. It's been Porated. Can we use that as a verb? It's been Porated. So. I don't even know if it was Ruth. But I played it in the HTC Vive, and it was really fun. And it was one of those 3D VR games that people would often use as an example. And there were some people doing some wonderful stuff with it.
Wacom and Adobe, they were pretty keen on it at one point in time as well. Wacom, the MixD pen tablets and stylus that people use for digital art.
I thought it was Wacom. It's Wacom?
Wacom.
I say Wacom.
I never knew that.
Nope.
I said
Wacom.
Wacom.
I only know because I was able to meet the CEO and speak with him.
Well, I figured you'd know, yeah. I never knew that.
That's official. It's a Japanese company.
Japanese.
Yeah. 150 million.
Story.
150 million Google committing to vaccine education, partnering with One Medical. Amazon has said we want to help use our facilities for vaccine. Everybody's jumping in, which is good. Let's get those vaccines out.
So I got some news.
Yes.
I got it yesterday.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I saw that tweet.
I'm so happy for you, Jeff.
I feel a little weird because there are teachers and there are people who have ahead of me, but it's a hot mess here. I saw this sign up, but I did it. I'm 66. I've got 2 9/11 cancers, 1 9/11 heart condition. I've got a lung condition that comes back with COVID. So I figure I'm a walking collection of
I don't think you have to justify it in the sense that
I feel like I did, but I did it.
I know. In a lot of, like, a friend of mine who's she's in healthcare, but she's young, but Washington State was such a mess, and they were like, hey, we literally have thawed vaccines that we have to shove in people's arms and no one's here. Do you want to come?
I'll volunteer. Like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You're no Rodney Baker. Let's put it that way. He's the former head of a Canadian casino company and his actor wife who chartered a private plane to a remote community near the Alaska border and got corona vaccines meant for vulnerable indigenous residents.
Oh, my Lord.
The tribes up here, there's a tribe actually on the peninsula that actually, they had too many doses. They vaccinated the tribes, and then they were like, opened it up to the community.
This was not that. This was not that.
I'm just like,
Rodney and Ekaterina Baker traveled by charter plane to Beaver Creek, a community of 100 in the Yukon Territory. A mobile team was administering the Moderna vaccine to residents, particularly elderly members of the White River First Nation. At the mobile clinic, the Bakers claimed to be workers at a local motel.
Oh, you son of a...
But then they asked for a ride back to the airport.
Unbelievable.
They called the motel and they said, no, they don't work for us. So the enforcement officers, that's what they call the Mounties in Canada. Enforcement officers searched the couple, searched for the couple at their quarantine location in Whitehorse, found they'd already left. They were discovered at the airport preparing to fly back to Vancouver. They were both fined for breaking public health rules, but they didn't do any jail time. But they got $500. Fine. Big deal. Did they get the shots? Yeah, they got the shots. So it was worth it for them.
So, trying to sign up for it, you have to be just the right minute. And then I saw them and I thought, okay, I took it. And then I went back a minute later and all the signups were gone. So now I've got to worry about getting the second appointment because there's no times in there. I went to the Fire Academy and it was very well run by Middlesex County. It was, I've got to say, the one thing that disturbed me was that it was almost entirely white.
Yeah, because you have to sign up on a freaking app or a computer in most of these places,
that's not
and you have
right.
to have the time to sit here and
That is just
refresh.
not right. You're absolutely
Nope, it's
right.
not. You know why I'm feeling funny about having gotten it. There are teachers, there are bus drivers, there are grocery store people, who this should have been prioritized in that way. It wasn't, and so I got a time and I got it. And I am vulnerable, and so fine. But this should have been prioritized against people who are exposed and vulnerable. One thing that people are having a fit about in New Jersey is that you make the current list if you smoke.
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, okay, hold on. It's a legitimate health impact.
Yeah,
on
but
your
it's a
life.
lifestyle choice. I don't think you should be rewarded. All right. Okay.
I knew that would cause it.
Fine.
Can we talk about? Or are you
Fine. I happen to sleep on a bed of nails every night. Can I get the vaccine? I might get it. That could be a health
Okay, if
hazard.
you take that line of thinking, then what you're going to start doing is demonizing people who make unhealthy choices, and not everybody makes unhealthy choices because they're.
No, I know.
Like,
I have a family member.
It's a fascinating debate.
Who smokes, and it makes me mad.
Also, asking someone to give up smoking in the middle of the freaking pandemic.
And that's right.
Stress relief.
I took
Good
up
God.
smoking. Are you kidding? I got myself a hookah.
You got a Traeger.
Yes, that's the smoking I took up. I smoke your brisket. I smoke your ribs. Get a Traeger for I wonder if that'll get me in line in the vaccine. I smoke. I got a Traeger. It's a pellet. I know it's not really a wood smoker, but I smoke.
I'm a smoker. All right.
I'm a smoker. Susan Wojcicki, her first letter of 2021, addressing YouTube's priorities for the year. Let's see. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I forgot what it was.
She wants to grow the creator economy. Okay. She says, this is actually amazing. According to Oxford Economics, YouTube's creative ecosystem contributed $16 billion to the United States GDP in 2019, 340,000, the equivalent of 345,000 full-time jobs. The UK, 1.4 billion pounds, the equivalent of 30,000 full-time jobs. In France, 515 million euros, 15,000 full-time jobs. So, these are the same kind of stats Apple says about their App Store, about how many, people are employed by it. But yeah, I mean, it has an impact.
You're
If it went away tomorrow, a lot of people would have problems.
Yeah.
Sorry, Stacey.
Oh no, I was just like, I'm feeling very cynical about PR today.
Yeah, me too. Always am. Always am.
I'm like,
I guess that's the main thing.
You want a Facebook story?
Hold on. Yes, we have actually some big ones, but before I'm just scanning through the letter because I forgot I had bookmarked some stuff, but I forgot what it was. Now we turn our focus to the possibilities ahead with vaccination. In October, we expanded our COVID-19 medical misinformation policy on YouTube to remove content about vaccines that contradicts consensus from health authorities. In other words, anti-vax stuff. I think there is absolutely a burden on places like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to make sure that because one of the biggest problems is going to be, as we slowly work through this supply issue, is going to be vaccine deniers,
Yes. Or doubters
who aren't going to get the vaccine, and it will keep us from getting to that critical 75 to 80% for herd immunity. So I think it's appropriate that there be kind of a drumbeat of, it doesn't have to be aggressive or, it's not about banning. It's about just this kind of generalized drumbeat of it's good. You got to do it. It's safe. Please, it's going to help.
So
everybody.
It's a fascinating thing too, Leo. I asked this with journalism, right? If there are a large number of people in this country who refuse to wear and even burn masks, I take that as a failure of journalism. Now, if you play that out, that says the job of journalism should be to convince you to wear a mask. And so am I an educator? Am I a propagandist?
I don't know if journalism should be an advocacy forum.
Oh, I think in this case, the science is clear. And if you don't know the value of a mask, if you're ignorant to it, we failed. Yeah.
Well, God knows I intentionally very visibly wear a mask when I'm coming into the studio. I've written many blog posts about masks, kind of promoted early on my own, homemade masks and that kind of thing. All with, It was my intent to subtly reinforce the notion that masks are good, masks are safe, masks are positive. It's a good thing. But I don't feel like that's advocacy as much, and I don't feel like I'm a journalist as much as a opinion person, a pundit.
So YouTube is making a decision here, which I think is the right decision. It's an advocacy position. It's a judgmental decision, but I think it's the right one to say we're going to get rid of this stuff that we say is wrong, and we're going to do this.
And
there are two sides to this.
Yes,
Mr.
I agree. Facebook's done the same, right?
Yes.
Facebook always gets a lot of heat because it's so big. It's hard for them to be completely perfect in this, but I think they've made.
That was generous of you.
They have referred the Trump case and the oversight to the oversight board. The oversight board has accepted it. This is clearly what the oversight board was designed to do. How long is that going to take, though, Jeff?
It's up to 90 days. I talked to the people at Facebook beforehand, and they have up to 90 days to do it. Facebook could have made it a rush, but they didn't want to rush this decision. The decision will be binding in regards to Donald Trump.
See, I'm surprised because I thought that the oversight board lacked teeth, but apparently it does have the teeth.
No, this is binding in terms of if the oversight board says you were wrong to take down Trump, put him back up, they will put him back up.
Okay.
Now, clearly, this has implications. Again, it's restricted to the case of Donald Trump, but clearly the discussion goes on to, Duterte and others.
Right.
You have.
The junta
you have,
in Myanmar, all of that. Yeah.
So I got called from a London journalist doing a story about how there's an activist trying to get the Khomeini down because of human rights violations. So you're going to find this in all those places. At the same time, you have Merkel and Macron saying, Twitter shouldn't have taken down a head of state. No, we might need to have a law about that. Poland now has legislation going through that would forbid the platforms to take down any legal content, would give them, it's the opposite of 230, would give them no choice at all, but to keep everything up that people want up there and make them all into Parler. How's that, huh? So we see that I think there's implications to this case. It'll be fascinating to see whether the oversight board raises this up to a level of principles or not. We can all make public comment to them if you want to.
Have you noticed? I noticed on Twitter the lack of President Trump's tweets. Actually, not just on Twitter, but also in the general national discourse and news.
Yeah.
That absence has been beneficial. Have you noticed that on Facebook? Is there? I didn't. My sense is it wasn't the same on Facebook.
No, it wasn't the same.
Yeah,
it wasn't getting quoted the same in media, but it was there, and you could find it, but it's not there now. But of course, they didn't take him down entirely. They froze his contributions to.
And speaking of YouTube, they have decided to continue to block his videos. Yeah. They're gonna have to make a decision at some point, because it depends. If Trump fades away, I don't think he's going to, or if he decides to take the national stage again and become active, then that's going to be interesting to watch.
If he decided to hold a press conference at Mar-a-Lago tomorrow, there'd be reporters there. I don't know that they should be, because he's a has-been, but
yeah.
They'll be there. He has a voice if he wants it. He's not silenced.
Yeah. Any more than Josh Hawley is silenced, Josh.
Yeah.
You can't.
Now, meanwhile, just as we went on the air,
yeah,
so to speak, air quotes around air. Am I allowed to go to another related story now?
Actually,
Leo?
I want to do an ad. So
are you done with that?
Can we do an ad?
Okay.
Can we do an ad?
Okay, that's fine. No, yeah, it's you're the dictator. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Because I was getting kind of like, please do an ad. We could be here for years otherwise.
There's a changelog to do too.
We could be here for years.
I know. I've been taking small breaks. That's how sad I'm like, oh, I have got to get more water. Oh, I need some food. I'm just not cut out for this.
You got cookies?
Sitting in a chair. I didn't have cookies today, but you know what? I'll tell you this, and then we can go to that. My husband is so nice. I asked him for a snack, and he pitted a bowl of cherries and brought them in for me.
Because you don't want to spit cherry pits on the show.
Exactly. Well,
Did he say, honey, I wouldn't want you to choke, so
Chewy.
Remove these cherries.
Chewy.
Would you like me to peel you some grapes?
He brought the bowl, and I was
Queen
like, I need something
I love
to
you,
spit
but
the
I'm not
pits in.
doing that.
I thought it was the most romantic thing he's done.
It's really
it's
sweet.
nice.
I need ideas because Friday is both Lisa's birthday and our anniversary. And I am in deep trouble already, I can tell.
Yep.
Our show today brought to you by IT Pro TV. Brand new year means, opportunity. I love that idea that we can start over, start fresh. Maybe you've been thinking, I would like a better job. I would like to make more money. I would like, to improve my IT skills. Or maybe I just love IT and I want to learn more. This is the place for you. IT Pro TV has exactly what you need to get started on the right foot in IT education. You can get professional and entertaining IT training from the comfort and safety, I guess we have to say that, of your own home. January, we're wrapping it up, but it's not over yet. It's still getting started in IT month at IT Pro TV. A great time to start a new career in the IT industry. And by the way, the IT industry is growing strong like the rest of the tech community during COVID. This is a time when more and more IT professionals are needed. The job openings are vast. There have been 2 webinars this month. I think you can still catch them for budding IT pros. Free weekend training with 5 courses available at no charge, plus tons of videos on their YouTube channel about starting a new career. There's also IT Pro TV for business, a plan your team will actually use. Of course, their personal plans to help you accelerate your IT career. IT Pro TV is a one-stop shop for IT education. With training in Microsoft, Cisco, Apple, Linux, and more, you can earn IT certs while improving your skills. They have 7 studios running Monday through Friday because the IT industry is constantly changing. The tests change, the questions change, software gets updated, new software comes out. IT Pro TV has 5,800 hours of absolutely up-to-the-minute IT training. They're also the only official video training partner for CompTIA. So if you want those really valuable CompTIA certs, the certs people often start their IT careers with, like the A+ or Security Plus or Network Plus, that's the place to go, IT Pro TV. And don't ever worry about staying on track. I know when you're doing it yourself, it's kind of hard, but IT Pro TV has learning coaches and a lot of wonderful job resources that will keep you on track and even help you get that first job. You're going to always be supported by IT Pro's amazing teams. IT Pro TV has the best teachers. They are professionals in the field, but they're also engaging and fun. You want just a taste? Don Pizzette, one of the founders, does a great podcast, absolutely free, called TechNado, all about the IT industry guests, IT news recaps. TechNado, look for it on your favorite podcast line. It's time to look forward to a bright new year with a new career in IT, the best IT education anywhere. We're big fans. Go to itpro.tv/twit. The code TWIT30 will get you 30% off. Yeah, 30% off any consumer account. And that's for as long as you stay active. Could be forever. 30% off. itpro.tv/twit. Don't forget that offer code TWIT30. IT Pro TV. Build or expand your IT career and enjoy the journey. itpro.tv/twit. Thank you, IT Pro, for your support of This Week in Google. Jeff Jarvis. It's time for Jeff Jarvis's Pick of the Week story thing.
Oh, it is?
No, you said you had a story.
Oh, no, just real quick. Just, so 2 things related. Facebook says it's going to dial down politics now. because it's just such a pain, obviously, and they're going to
They don't need it.
Politics in general down.
They don't need it. Let's all dial down politics.
At the same time, line number 116, Politico reports that new campaigns are suffering badly because without Facebook and Twitter and being able to put up political ads, they don't have a way to reach the voters and their peeps.
Boo-hoo, they'll figure it out. That's what the world. I mean, that's.
Then they're stuck with mass media.
No, maybe they can figure something else out. Maybe they can do door knockings. Maybe they can do a Kickstarter for their campaign. Maybe they.
I agree with you.
The U.S. mail's expensive.
Screw it. Figure it out.
I mean, the reason we have. I am so unsympathetic. Also, this idea that Facebook. I mean. Maybe they just shouldn't have like the algorithmic reach. Maybe they should just let people post. I mean, I know that's their whole business, but it's kind of like maybe this is acknowledging that their business isn't doing the best it can for people. And the other option is then what are they going to show us? It's not our messages from our friends because that just doesn't make them money. It's going to be stupid Instagram gigas and whatnot. Anyway,
I'm interested in this fact. Newsletters are the new hotness, right? Substack.
For this week or so, yeah.
Yeah, well... I think there are a lot of people
like shanty songs. I think it'll be about as long.
You think it's the lifespan of a shanty song. I feel like that a lot of people are looking at ways to monetize via companies like Substack. Twitter has just acquired a small company called from Holland called Revue, R-E-V-U-E. It's a newsletter platform for writers and publishers. It probably didn't cost them much. It's a 6-person team, but it does. I think it's telling that Twitter acquired them. I think it'd be very interesting to see them create a platform for creators involving newsletters. They say it'll work seamlessly with Twitter. Twitter says they plan to create new features that'll make it easier for writers to connect with their audiences, allowing people to sign up for newsletters from people they follow on Twitter, adding new settings for writers to host conversations with their subscribers on Twitter. I think there's a lot of potential here. I think that's very interesting. Agree? You agree?
Yes, agree.
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 Twitter is opening up its fire hose to researchers.
This is good news.
For free.
This is good news.
Yeah.
Very good news. Because
I think it's become clear, certainly it was clear in the last 4 years, that Twitter is an important resource for what's, kind of the zeitgeist, not just on the internet, but, just nationally. Twitter used to require researchers to pay for full access. Instead, they're going to make the full history of public conversation. They refer to it as its full archive search endpoint available to any researcher or developer who applies as part of the launch of a new academic research track. They're also going to improve the Twitter API, something that's been a source point with third-party developers, to make it easier to do this kind of thing. So big news, big news. That's the right thing to do. Twitter's also doing a few other interesting things. One is Birdwatch, which is kind of like a forum to combat misinformation.
It's crowdsourced.
Crowdsourced.
Alerting, yeah.
Yeah. Birdwatch allows people to identify information in tweets they believe is misleading or false. It's one way to, palm this off on other people instead of having to do it yourself. Yeah.
But on the other hand, a forum, like an online forum.
It's kind of like that. You have to apply to be a bird watcher.
I applied.
Did you? Good.
They haven't said yes yet.
Twitter says it will be available to a small set of users at first, largely on a first-come, first-served basis. You don't have to be a high-profile Jeff Jarvis type or a traditional fact-checker, but you will have to have a real phone number and email address. Okay. You can, if you're a bird watcher, you can flag tweets from a drop-down menu within the Twitter interface. But any discussion you start about the tweet will remain exclusively in the Birdwatch section.
Plus, people will rate each other's, I don't know what they're going to call them, chirps. And so that way they'll get some kind of karma system going, I think.
It's good. This is a good experiment.
Yeah, it is.
We talked a little bit about Blue Sky, which is something that Jack Dorsey talked about last year. as a, I don't know, federated Twitter.
Open source federated Twitter, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting post. I guess this is a report from Twitter on a review of the ecosystem. And, you know,
he hired basically researchers to work on this. And so this is the report of what this looks like.
Including, I'm pleased to say, Gargron, who is Eugene Rochko. He's the creator of Mastodon, which is the Fediverse instance software that we use at Twitter.
The what verse?
Fediverse.
The cheese verse?
By the way, you started something, Stacy.
You got to.
We now officially on Twit Social call it the Fediverse with a T.
Nice.
I love it. This paper is good because it talks about, you know, IndieWeb and ActivityPub and all of the, you know, open web protocols and things. So I don't know what Twitter's going to do with this. There's a lot.
But it's still kicking. He has people working on this. I think this could be really. And this goes back to what I was trying to say earlier. I think there's a chance for Twitter to be open source and for value to be on top of that. Yeah. We're going to find you the good tweeters. We're going to find you the good trippers.
I'd love it if Twitter would become an instance on GNU Social, on the social graph. I think that would be a really interesting play. Then I could, on my Twit Social feed, follow Twitter posts from, you know, you, Jeff, and Stacy and Ann.
Right.
That would be fantastic. It would allow me to have my own server, my own control, not see the general Twitter noise, but follow the people I'm interested in. I hope, very hopeful. They also talked about Matrix in this, which is an open source kind of discourse-like platform. I'm very excited about Matrix. I think Matrix is really strong. There are a number of Matrix clients that are end-to-end encrypted, like Element. It's very interesting. So, good. I'm glad Twitter's putting some...
Yeah, I like that one.
Some effort into this.
And thanks to Jason putting the rundown up earlier. I saw it at the end of last week, and I'll forget this.
Yeah, that's why we have the rundown. Yep. All right, I think we could quickly do a changelog. Stacy is really running out of steam, I can tell.
She's running out of cherries is the problem.
No, I'm still here. I just was getting worried because we were like almost 2 hours in and we'd only done one ad, and I was like,
yeah, you were right. You were right.
That's a scary stat.
I was a laggard.
Horror show hallway stretching out into eternity.
It never ends. Although I think this would be a good time to scare Jeff with the first item in the Google changelog.
The Google changelog.
Yay! I'm sure you're familiar, Jeff, with a very useful page everybody should know about, the Google My Activity page. It now has dark mode.
Look at how awesome
melting.
That looks.
Great. As it should. As it should. This is the place you go to monitor your Google activity, myactivity.google.com. And it looks so nice in the dark.
Jeff, the benefit of dark mode is really great when you're on camera, because every time you go look at a site that's in dark mode, your lighting doesn't change. But in white,
I prefer it.
I'm still
blows you out.
ridiculously pink or orange no matter what. It doesn't help. Laptop closed, laptop open.
Google has redesigned mobile search on Android and iOS to be easier to read with dark mode. No, I'm just kidding. Just teasing. It is just cleaner and easier to read. Significant redesign of how search looks on mobile. So if if you say, hey, that looks different, yes, you're right. And very visual. Lots more of those carousels that Google loves so much. Very pretty. Which, unfortunately, the side effect of this is fewer results.
Wait, what is happening on that page? What was that?
That's three different pages. But you see,
okay. I was like,
yeah, and different controls and stuff. Yeah,
scrambled.
This is what
whales. What was that?
Yeah, no.
I was like, what is this?
Scrambled whales.
Exactly?
This is more what. So if you search for humpback whale, you see the entire first page is taken up with a knowledge card. If you search for running spots in San Francisco, you don't get websites. You get, well, I guess you kind of do. It's a little different. It's a little different. More cards, basically, is the answer to that. Chrome, let's see, now hides notification content when screen sharing to keep alerts private. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
Because I don't use Chrome, but if I did, that would be a problem. I always have to go in here and turn off notifications so you can't see it when Stacy's yelling at me. It's time for lunch. Let's go. Come on, hurry. No, she doesn't do that.
It's dinner.
It's dinner anyway.
She has a red button on her desk like Trump, and she pushes it, and cherries arrive. It's amazing.
I want the diet. What is it? Was it Diet Pepsi? Diet Coke. I want the Diet Coke
There
button.
actually, Boing Boing had something saying that A, the button was still there. B, he didn't use the button. And C, there's another button in other places just in case. So the button story was apparently all blown out.
Yeah, so. They didn't really know what the button was. It was a couple of reporters who looked at this button next to the phone, big wooden box, presidential seal, and said, we wondered what it was until the President Trump pressed it, and a butler came in with a Diet Coke.
I think he bragged about it, too. I think he, well, what's this?
He says, everyone gets a little nervous when I press that button. So, according to Boing Boing, the button, actually multiple buttons, are apparently back in place, but their purpose has not been disclosed. A White House official, unfortunately, this is from Politico, wouldn't say what Biden will use the button for. The official said, I don't have anything for you on that. He didn't know, probably. According to Politico, Biden is a big fan of orange Gatorade. Oh, God, please don't make an orange Gatorade button.
I like that.
M&M's, peanut M&M's.
There's a lot of
that would be
sodium.
what my button.
I respect that.
Former official said there's also another similar button next to the chair by the fireplace. But he said Trump actually didn't use it much. He just said the valets are always around. He says, give me a Coke. You don't need a button for that.
Right.
You're the leader of the free world, for crying out loud. You don't need a button. Google hides notification content. Oh, I said that. Chrome OS 88 is here. Smart display-like screensaver with Google Photos and Weather. I don't really need a screensaver in my Chrome OS.
Nope.
But now you can. YouTube.com is now available as a progressive web app. I like that. Just in time for Mozilla to announce it's not going to support progressive web apps. Those are the web pages you can download and use offline, or have a dedicated icon for. So if you go to youtube.com in Chrome, you'll see the circle with a plus in it directly in the Omni box. You can click it to install the app. And then you'll get a large red Play logo on your app launcher for opening YouTube in a window. It's a Chromeless window, no buttons, no UI. That's nice. I'm a big believer in PWAs. I like that idea.
Yep.
Google Lens for Android rolling out offline translate capability. Nice.
Good stuff.
And Google Photos for Android now has a tablet-optimized interface, just in time for Google not to release a tablet. And that's your Google changelog. Jeff wanted you to see this. I have a feeling this was from Jeff. This is for Stacy. Westinghouse presents
This is Stacy's
the
grandma.
all-electric home. Heating, cooling, appliances.
I'm Betty Furness.
Hi, Betty.
In all my years with Westinghouse, I've covered some pretty interesting stories. But here is truly the most wonderful and exciting
Betty
thing
had a
I've
hard time walking a straight line, I might point out.
Exactly.
I wonder. Okay, never mind.
Ever had the
It was a long lunch.
talk about.
You can fast forward
It's the
anywhere into it,
Westinghouse
and it's just
push a
wonders
button
of the
to
new world.
automatically lower a protective screen.
This is your new fireplace. Ooh.
Cooking is really a joy in the food preparation center.
We don't call it a kitchen anymore. It's a food preparation center.
Here you have a refrigerator that looks like fine furniture.
Not really. It looks like a refrigerator
It's like
on your
a
counter.
diner's cake display.
Fine furniture. Little bit of an exaggeration.
For convenience, the upper unit of the refrigerator opens from both sides. And
That's convenient. So you can peek at your friend on the other side.
below are handy, spacious refrigerator and freezer drawers. Then, too, there's the miraculous electronic oven that will cook these appetizers in 6 seconds.
It's from June, and it's only $1,500.
PG&E
Appetizers that were prepared from recipes kept in this microfilm file.
This looks a lot like my Thermomix. Microfilm, though, that's hysterical.
Thousands of recipes are on file here, and simply by pressing a couple of buttons, the recipe of your choice appears on the screen.
Why, those pears look beautiful.
Why didn't someone make the recipes for them?
Uh-huh. Someday, you'll be able to use your telephone to order food brought to your door. Anyway, look, there's an exercise bicycle.
That's the early Peloton.
It is.
Look at that.
A sliding wall.
Well, that is
in
exactly what your
quarters
office looks like.
Converts one large area into 2 separate bedrooms at night. During the day, the wall slides back, and this becomes the child's education center.
Okay. They didn't know about COVID, but they were ready. The Westinghouse all-electric house in color. Now in color. Jeff, that was your addition.
That was my little moment. I got it. That's fine.
Like
I thought it was amusing.
I do too.
It was IoT
That was
before its
fun.
time.
Yeah.
Clearly.
It's amazing what the internet has changed. I mean, you had to have a microfilm in the reader and a microfilm cache in the basement to do that.
Well, and was there like a little robot? You would tell it what you wanted. It would go get the right microphone.
Yeah, they didn't
for
show
you?
any of that stuff. Do you remember? You're probably old enough to remember going to the library to look at old newspapers, and they'd give you a reel.
Explaining to us. Yes.
Sure do.
It's a lot harder than they showed.
Even you, Ant?
Yes.
Ant, are you going to buy?
At my school, we had one reader at my school.
Wow.
For microfilm.
Wow.
Everything else, we did have the internet, but we still had one room that had microfilm over
Well,
there.
you got all that microfilm. Cool. What are you going to do? You got to have a reader. Are you going to buy this new Sony Xperia Pro phone? It's only $2,500.
In a word, hells no.
Hells no. That's 2 words. This phone is unique because it has an HDMI input, which means you can connect it to your Sony camera and use it as a viewfinder, which is kind of cool.
It's great having a larger monitor like that, and especially something that's got a great resolution to be able to see it, more so from the videographer perspective, not necessarily for photography side, but I love that idea because
you can pinch and zoom and all of that.
You know, those you can get like a Feewell monitor for maybe $150, but the nicer ones like the Atomos Ninja, that's a couple $100, and you know, you only have that one functionality, where here you at least get a phone out of it, but it's still too much for my opinion.
If you're excited about the Westinghouse all-electric kitchen, you'll be very excited about nothing. The founder of OnePlus, Carl Pei, has started a new company called Nothing. This is not a joke.
Brilliant.
It's a company about nothing. $7 million in seed funding. Investors like YouTuber Casey Neistat. Wait a minute.
Here we go.
Casey made enough money that he can invest in companies now?
Nothing? He can invest in nothing?
Neistat's been making a killing, though.
No, apparently.
You only have to have $1 million.
Outside of YouTube.
You only have to have $1 million to be an accredited investor.
Twitch co-founder Kevin Lin and Reddit CEO Steve Huffman all investing. I think they might have made a mistake because here's the mission statement. Nothing's mission is to remove barriers between people and technology to create a seamless digital future. We believe the best technology is beautiful, natural, and intuitive to use. When sufficiently advanced, it should fade into the background and feel like nothing. Which is what you're going to get if you invest in this company.
Can we short it? Let's short it.
I would short nothing gladly. Oh,
Isn't that the mission of IoT, the home of IoT?
Nothing is the mission?
I think it's, ambient intelligence that delivers what you want when you want and nothing else. Yes. Yeah. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
It's hard, though.
Yeah, very hard. Sure.
Company about nothing. All right. Poor Stacy.
No. We're still on the
Still have some cherries left?
Shorter end.
Okay.
No, the cherries are long gone.
Oh, the cherries are long gone. All right. That's why I leave the pits in. It takes longer to eat them. That's my story.
And then I have something to spit at you. I'd be like,
I'm sticking with it. Yeah. Coming up next, it's our picks of the week. This week, I'm going to start with Stacy's Thang. What's your pick of the week this week, Stace?
Oh, we're doing it.
We're there. We're there.
Okay, we're there.
Mm-hmm.
This always.
This is the tunnel. You see that light? It's the light at the end of it.
Exactly, the light in the tunnel. My pick is not a thing. My pick is something. This is kind of silly, but I'm doing it anyway. Y'all were talking about Bridgerton. I say go for Hilda, which is a cartoon on Netflix for children.
Aww.
I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
It's based on a graphic novel. And my daughter and I, my daughter is 14. This is for 7-year-olds. It is so low key. It is so nice to have on, and it is quite funny. And it's basically this Finnish or Scandinavian town. This little girl named Hilda lives there. It pulls from mythologies from the area, and there's an elf that likes paperwork. If you want to test it out as an adult, I would say go season 1, episode 7, which is legit funny. And even if you don't like cartoons. So.
I'm not normally a cartoon fan, but I think that if it's a cartoon made in Finland.
It's actually Canadian.
Oh, it's Canadian.
Made in Canada.
Oh, okay.
My
So
daughter.
Giving a
Canadian
Finnish
television.
keynote tomorrow.
Are you?
Oh.
Yes.
So, yeah, I like, you know what? Lisa and I have decided we're going to start only watching shows that are happy. That's why we're watching The Fabulous.
That's how you do it.
All Creatures Great and Small. Which Stacey hates because she's a Grinch. She's
I am.
a grump.
James Harriet is not my friend.
But you're right, though. After you said in every episode he seemed to be, it's a novel, a series of novels that became a TV show. He seems to be sticking his hand up an animal's
There's an
orifice.
orifice in everyone.
And there is. Every time I'm going, there goes his hand again. So,
yikes!
You really ruined it for me, to be honest with you.
I'm so sorry.
That's now all
That's
I
what
see.
being a farm vet is all about.
That's what I see. All right, Hilda on Netflix. If you got Netflix, watch Hilda. Jeff Jarvis has a number for. Actually, you got a lot of numbers. Pick one.
Well,
anyone.
because I don't know, because Ant in retaliation might steal one from me from last week, so you never know.
Could happen.
It could. What the hell? Oh, so all right. The Fall of Silicon Valley. Let me go to that one. Oh hell, where'd it go? So Silicon Valley was already kind of falling apart before the pandemic. The pandemic says that it's gotten a lot worse. Rents are supposedly down 24% year over year.
That's bad. That's good.
That's good. Local sales tax collections are down by more than 40%, so the town services won't be so good.
Anything. Okay.
So they asked people about how their companies would go and so on and so forth. Before the pandemic, when asked where they would want to start a company today, a technologist said 41.6% in the San Francisco Bay Area. After the pandemic, 42% distributed or remote. Only 28% in the San Francisco Bay Area. So
I'm just saying,
goodbye, Valley.
Fine. Go move to Austin. See how you like it. Go. I don't care.
Wait a second. There is a legit story on the changelog the Scooter X brought up that hold up. Did we talk about Google's new feature for the electric vehicle owners?
Oh, I didn't. They plan to use AI to plan electric car trips. And you have interest in this because you drive an electric car, don't you, Stacey?
Yes, I do. And this is like a huge, I am manually, it is such a pain in the orifice to plan these things.
The ASS protocol.
So they're going to use something that I have just been studying lately. So I'm actually very interested in this, called graph theory. It's basically a way of solving a puzzle. The puzzle being, I'm running out of electricity. Where can I get a charging station that meets my needs within the range I have available to you? The reason this is a challenge is because your Tesla has a certain kind of charger. It actually comes with adapters, so you.
I was I have dongles.
You can use anything, but most other people can't use Tesla chargers because they don't have the supercharger dongle, and so forth. So this will only work with Android Auto. Oh, wait a minute! I take it back. It's Android Automotive. That's a different thing than Android Auto. It's only going to work on electric vehicles that are using Google's specific automotive operating system, aka not your Tesla. Yeah.
Oh.
That basically
It's
means
cherry
my
pitch.
phone.
you're either using a Volvo or a Volvo. It's either on the Polestar 2 or the Volvo XC40. But Google says more cars are going to do that. You know what?
Just put it in maps. I mean, my God, people.
Yeah, put it in maps. That makes more sense.
I have
Everybody
I'm very excited when I get my Mach-E. Ford has an app, and you pair it to your car when you first get the car, and then you just kind of get automated payment system at any charge. You just pull up, plug it in, and it goes, I know you, and you don't have to do anything. So I'll let you know how that works. That's going to be
When do you
kind
get
of
the car, by the
interesting.
way?
Very excited. Very excited. We
What's
will be
Lisa
all
getting?
electric because Lisa has a Chevy Bolt right now, which is ostensibly her son's, who still doesn't have a driver's license. He's 18. I don't know if we're ever going to get rid of that Bolt, but that's all right. We like it. That's what we're driving right now. That's our single car. When I get the Mach-E Mustang Ford, I'll let you know. But that uses the CCS fast charging combined system.
How fast is fast?
It really will. It depends. Stacy knows. It really depends on the amperage offered by how many watts you can get from that particular charging station. You don't actually want to be too fast. That really can hurt the battery. Superchargers are usually pretty fast, right? Half an hour to get half a tank, something like that.
It depends. Sometimes now, because they've been metering them.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of and it's cold.
I'll be able to. Yeah, that's right. It slows it down too. I'll be able to use the Electrify America chargers. Those are the ones that VW had to build as part of its settlement for Dieselgate.
Oh, that was funny.
But they're putting in a lot. They're spending a lot of money to put them all over the country. That'll be interesting. And you probably saw that President Biden wants to improve electric infrastructure in the U.S. He's pledged to spend billions of dollars to add more than 500,000 EV stations over the next 4 years. So he's also very committed. I think the federal fleet will go all electric. He's very committed to doing this. So that I'm excited about that. That's going to be good news.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I just was super excited when I saw that. And I was like, we didn't talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's, as with most Google stories, it's not as good as it sounds.
Yeah, all right.
But graph theory is very interesting. I'm very interested in that. Ant, do you have a thing for us?
Yeah, sure. My first thing is from Carolina to NorCal.
Hyman's Seafood Hush Puppy Mix or Hyman's Stone Ground Yellow Grits. How did you get those?
Twit listener and friend, Mr. Troy Boulware, sent the package over to the studio
that's really
last
nice.
week, and that just really surprised me.
Did you miss
and warmed
this?
my heart.
Did you miss these?
Yes, it's so good to have grits. Grits are hard to find around.
Good grits.
Yeah.
Because
Good
not just
grits.
yellow cornmeal.
Right.
Yeah,
These
Quaker
are real
makes
deal,
grits.
legit grits. They need to cook about half an hour. So,
What is hominy? Because grits are made from hominy.
It's corn.
It's a kind of corn.
Right. Corn.
It's like
all
a
corn.
special corn.
It's all corn.
It's just corn.
All corn.
It's corn.
That field over there, that's going to be grits.
You know, it's funny because
field over there, it's going to be tortillas.
it's funny
That field over there, it's going to be hush puppies.
because I googled it. What is
Different corns.
hominy? And the first thing it
Different
says is
corns.
it's corn.
It's all corn.
It's just corn.
It's all corn.
It's corn. It's corn.
Why do they call it hominy?
I don't know. I
Do
didn't
you-
make it up.
So,
Here's
Aunt, do you poach shrimp in butter and then put that on top of your grits? Because
I
that's
sounds
I
good.
have made shrimp and
That
grits
sounds
before.
good.
And it's not just butter. There's also cream and lots of nice spices.
yeah.
Actually,
yeah.
Worse
wait a
than
minute.
this.
Hominy is not.
Hominy's made from maize.
It's made from maize. It's not just everyday corn. It's old corn.
Fancy
all right.
corn.
All right. In my world, it's corn. Dadgummit. It's just
It's Indian corn. Indigenous
made
corn.
with lye.
Yeah, you have to use the lye. That's true for like tortillas too. You have to use lye.
Really? I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
But
it's called nixtamalization.
next to the what?
Nixtamalization. It's a common culinary practice. It involves soaking the dried maize kernels in an alkali solution of calcium hydroxide made from slacked lime, lye, or wood ash. Nixtamalization loosens the kernels' hulls and makes them soft like a bean. It also, and you've seen hominy in the can, right? It makes it double the size. That's why it looks so big.
So
Wow.
hominy
Today I
and grits
learned.
are the lutefisk. Of corn?
It's the lutefisk of corn.
That's exactly what it sounds like. The lutefisk of corn.
I think you've done it again. Another show title comes out of Stacey.
What the hell is the lutefisk of corn even mean?
Lutefisk. It's
Lutefisk.
dried fish.
Now, I know what
treated with lye.
lutefisk
It's
is.
disgusting. It's treated with lye.
Oh. Yeah, a lot of stuff, it turns out, is treated with lye. Lye is so useful.
You keep it.
Lye is just so useful.
Soap.
I'll just stick
exactly.
with the hymens here and cook it the way my grandma taught me how to cook.
Now, are you gonna
it,
make hush puppies too?
Well, he did also send the hush
I
puppies,
saw that.
so I will eventually make some hush puppies. But first, I need to get some fish.
I've fish. You don't put fish in hush puppies.
No, you have
serve your hush puppies with fish.
Oh,
come on, educate them, Stacey. Educate
catfish.
I'm
I
like,
understand.
where are you from, man?
Oh, well, wait a minute. I was in Charleston, South Carolina. No, it was Greenville. Sorry.
Right.
Nearby,
it's
right?
only about a 3-hour difference.
Yeah. Well, and I went to the best restaurant, I was told, in Greenville.
Here's the first mistake.
Best restaurant.
Don't go to the best restaurant, but it's like Calvin Trillin used to say. You go to Cleveland, and they say, "Oh, you got to go to our special."
Yeah,
best
never
restaurant.
go to the
They'd
best
have
restaurant. Yeah.
Stuffed heavy with heavy.
Yeah.
You never want the.
Well, that's exactly what happened. Everything was served with a side of hush puppies, even dessert.
That's living.
And I noted, actually, as I was looking at this, that every single course was fried in some form or fashion.
Yes, that's living.
That's living.
Stuffed heavy with heavy.
That's exactly how you do it.
Heavy
yeah,
with
you have
heavy.
fried fish with hush puppies.
That's right. Catfish, right? Catfish.
Mhm.
Yeah. That sounds
Hand
pretty
in
good.
hand.
What
But yeah,
else
that
would
was
you have?
my
Would you have
pick.
okra? What else would you have?
I would do okra, but if I get it, I'll do fried okra.
I like fried okra.
First, I got to find a fish though.
You don't want to eat
Catfish.
boiled okra. That's like slime on slime. Yeah. That's like, ugh. But fried is good. If you get a little crisp on it there, that's good.
Yep.
Do y'all make makshu?
No, what's that?
What?
Ant makshu?
No, I haven't heard of that.
I think it's a Cajun or Louisiana thing. It's corn and tomatoes and lima beans all
And
cooked
lye.
together. I mean,
Don't forget the lye.
and lye, yes, and lye and spices. Spices and lye. I was just wondering because no one else knows what it is, but we used to.
How do you spell it?
I don't know.
Mockshoe, like mock shoe? Oh no, it is Maqueuech. It's shoe.
There
I
it
know
is.
what shoe is. Yeah, shoe is like roux. Yeah. It's look at that. It's got
and
corn,
peppers.
Oh, that looks
peppers, stewed, onions, butter, garlic,
good. Yeah, I'd take
tomatoes, splash of heavy cream.
Yeah, you serve it with the.
That sounds so
anything,
good.
But we used to have it with etouffee, crawfish etouffee. so-
Oh yeah. Now see a hush puppy be fine with that.
that. Now you get it.
I come from New England. We have hush puppies.
Stacey,
Only
are you
we
the one who
call
wanted
them.
the show to end.
We call them
I
clam
know. Well,
cakes.
now we're talking about food, so I'm
Different.
like,
She says she'll go on. Anyway, that's pick
Sorry.
one, but you had another pick. Go ahead, Anthony.
Pick two is I wanted to say I had so much fun this past Saturday as I had the
Were you
honor
on the
and pleasure
Giz
to
Fizz?
hang out with Mr. Dickie D
Oh.
and the Giz Fizz and just talk with the chat room. That was a lot of fun Saturday. Had a lot of fun.
It is. I've done the Giz Fizz myself, and it's a lot of fun. He's great, isn't he?
And favorite truck, car, or vehicle. My favorite car would be probably the BMW 7 Series
Jeez.
or the Mercedes-Benz S-Class.
Oh, you got some fancy taste there.
I got good taste. I know.
Holy moly!
I just don't show it.
Wow. All right. Yeah, you can watch that. It's on YouTube. I didn't realize we put it on YouTube actually.
I think it's on Beatmaster.
Oh, Beatmaster does it. Because we actually do not publish it at all. You have to be here Saturday afternoon. We just own it as soon as it's done. We go, what Giz Fizz? I don't know. I don't know anything about that. But apparently Beatmaster, who is from Switzerland,
and usually in our chat room.
and a neutral in all of this, posts it. Thank you, Beatmaster. My thing, I got an email from a listener who told me about a Kickstarter he was putting together, and I thought it was so cool. You remember, Jeff, I'm sure, the Tandy Model
Grandpa
100.
moment.
The Model 100. Remember that? That was in
I
every...
remember the Trash 80. I guess I'm before that.
No. This was the one that was like the first laptop, the Model 100.
Oh, yes.
Remember that? And every
little tiny
sports
screen?
Yeah, it had a little screen, but it was small, had a
I've got
full-size
one in my
keyboard.
office.
Yeah, but you do.
But so that's what journalists. I used it as journalists.
Exactly. Yeah. See, I knew I would bring this back.
With an acoustic coupler and a cassette recorder for the data.
There's a Model 100. Does it bring back memories?
Got that in my office.
Well,
it is the TRS 80 Model 100.
Yeah.
Thus, we called it in the field the Trash 80.
Right. But there is another Trash 80 that is even trashier. So I always call this the Model 100 because that's to distinguish it. So because I'm a geek, one of our listeners is doing a Kickstarter. You know, he knows how I love retro computers. He's got a kit, a Model 100 kit that you build yourself, a single board expansion computer. Look at this. It's aluminum. It's only going to be $239. Now you provide the Raspberry Pi, or you could even put a small x86 motherboard in there. No soldering required. If you like that,
complete with shoulder strap.
Oh yeah,
wow, look at that.
Yeah, it's very retro. And you see the antennas. I don't know what they do.
Yeah, what would they do?
I have no idea. But
those are handles.
Yeah, it's hysterical looking. Look at real full-size keyboard. Look at that screen. That's no 40 lines. That's a full-size screen.
That's a Mondo.
Yeah. So if you have some nostalgia for the Model 80, I love this Model 100. I love the strap. I missed that part. The shoulder strap. Now, it's a bare bones, so you don't get the computer. You do get the screen. You get the aluminum enclosure. You get your choice of retro punk, silver, or cyberpunk black. A screw hardware kit, 64-key programmable mechanical keyboard. Even comes with stereo neodymium speaker system. Good speakers. It's pretty cool. So this is a listener, Jesse, founder of the Ready Computer Corporation. It says, this is one of those scratching my own itches. He always wanted this. It's not expensive. You could find it on Kickstarter. Just search for Ready, ! Model 100 on Kickstarter. I told Jesse,
kudos.
I love this idea. I'll give you a plug. And I'll probably buy one because you know me. I can't. I'm a sucker.
That or short some stock. Yeah.
Yeah. If I can't short stock, I'm buying retro computer gear on Kickstarter
until you get Borated.
That's nice. Thank you, Jeff Jarvis. Where's my?
You don't have to.
I got it here. That is the director of the Town Knight Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. He's at buzzmachine.com, at Jeff Jarvis on the Twitter, and he is my nemesis.
Week I appear on Twig, whether they like it or not.
He's my arch nemesis. How about that? I've finally found a name for you. My nemesis. Thank you, Jeff. It's good to
No, we love each other.
No, of course not. Yeah. We had brothers from another mother. Thank you to Ant Pruitt, hands-on photography. Ant did a very mean thing yesterday. He told me about the new Sony A1 camera.
I was just nudging you. I wasn't trying to be mean.
$6,000 body.
Oof.
You'll have it this.
No,
you'll have it on Friday for your birthday. I'm sure, right?
Yeah,
right.
It's not my birthday. Oh, I could buy it for Lisa for her birthday.
There you go.
And then I would just use it.
Do not do that, Leo.
That's a mean thing to do.
If you value your marriage,
I'm just going to pit some cherries and cross my fingers.
This is an update to her A9. That's how you got to look at it.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Of course, Stacey Higginbotham is the host at StaceyOnIoT.com. Read her newsletter. Listen to her podcast that she does with Kevin Toffel. Check out the events, too. You got anything coming up?
I don't. I've been kind of lazy. Pandemic wall just pashed into me. And
me too. Yeah, me too. I just I stopped doing everything.
I got to get back on it, though.
You know what? They call it the great Joseph Campbell. We're talking about the hero's journey. You know, the hero's journey?
I have a Joseph Campbell book somewhere back there.
He said that every hero has what he calls an ashes time, a time when the hero just sits in the kitchen in the ashes by the stove and just kind of regenerates. It's okay.
So like the phoenix before you rise back up?
Yeah, it's all part of the hero's cycle. It's ashes time. That's what I always tell myself. Constantly.
Ashes and Hilda. That's me. That's me this week.
Perfect. Me, it's ashes and all creatures great and small.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
You use ashes to make lye.
You do.
It's like ashes circle. And, can I say it? asses.
Just did.
You're right. You use ashes to make lye. And the reason lye is so widely used in so many cuisines is because it's a common byproduct of cooking. You got ashes. You got to do something with it.
Never thought of that.
I like how we went full circle. That was
Think
real
about
nice.
soap. Think about soap.
Yeah.
The only reason we have soap is it's made of byproducts. Fat rendered from animals and ashes from your fire. There's actually a great book about this. I think I've told you about it before, called Clean. It's a story of...
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's well worth reading. I'm sorry. Do you have something to say, Madam Goo? Anything you want to add?
No, I was no.
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Madam Goo. That's it for this week in Google. As you can see, the show is about Google this much and about other things in varying quantities, but we do enjoy talking about it. If you like the show, I invite you to come back next Wednesday. We do it about 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2200 UTC. There's a live audio stream or a live video stream, your choice, at twit.tv/live. Watching live, chat live at irc.twit.tv. After the fact, we make a little edited show. We stick some things on the front and the back, and we put it out, and we make it available at twit.tv/twig. All our shows are available on the website, twit.tv/twig. As with all of our shows, there's a YouTube channel dedicated to This Week in Google. Of course, my favorite thing for you to do would be subscribe. That way you get it automatically the minute it's available. Pocket Cast, Overcast, Google's podcast client. There's plenty of them. If you do subscribe, thank you for listening. We will see you next Wednesday. That's it for This Week in Google. Bye-bye.
Hey, folks, I'm Ant Pruitt, host of Hands of Photography here on Twit TV. I know some of you have gotten yourself a brand new camera, or you just had a camera sitting around and can't quite figure out how to get the most out of it. Well, I have a solution. My show, Hands on Photography. So subscribe right now to learn how to get the most out of that camera. I'm going to show you how to make those images pop. I don't care if it's a Canon camera. I don't care if it's a Sony, Nikon, iPhone, Android, even an inexpensive Android device. I got you covered. So head on over to twit.tv/hop and subscribe today.